Good evening and welcome. This is a special meeting of the Princeton Planning Board on September 25th, 2025. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this special meeting was given by filing a copy with the Clerk of Princeton on September 9, 2025. Notice of this meeting also has been posted to the municipal website, princetonnj.gov/calendar. Notice that all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Planning Board will be held electronically via Zoom, was transmitted to the Princeton Packet and the Times, and was filed with the Clerk of Princeton on Tuesday, January 17, 2023. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. During hearings on applications for development, members of the public will have an opportunity to comment and ask questions. Public comment is heard by the board after an applicant's representatives have finished their presentations and have been questioned by planning board members and staff. Those wishing to comment orally should virtually raise your hand when the time comes by clicking on the reactions or raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or if participating by phone, by pressing *9. Oral comments will be taken in the order in which hands were raised. We ask with respect that members of the public express your views in 3 minutes or less. We'll have a countdown clock to help speakers keep track of time. Please note that speakers who exceed 3 minutes will be interrupted. Inappropriate public comment containing obscenity, hate speech, or relating to matters not before the board will be muted. Mr. Lesko, call the roll, please.
Will do, Madam Chair. Mr. Bodenheimer?
Here.
Ms. Capozzoli?
Here.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Mayor Frida? Mr. McGowan?
Here.
Ms. Nuka? Mr. O'Donnell?
Here.
Ms. Perlmutter?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Wilson Anderson?
Here.
And Chair Wilson.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Announcements. What's up, Justin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, members of the board and members of the public. I have a few announcements just related to our department staffing. Nathan Foote started in the newly created position of Assistant Director of Planning a couple weeks back. He's here tonight, and he's been here for the past couple weeks. Nathan is a licensed professional planner and previously worked for a private planning and engineering firm in New Jersey. He will eventually take over reports to the planning board, so you'll be seeing a lot of him soon. We also were lucky enough earlier this week to have Deidre Battles start in the position of administrative coordinator that Kerry previously held until her retirement in July. You will obviously be hearing a lot from her via email, phone, and at these meetings in the near future. That being said, the board schedule is looking pretty light until the end of the year, so I expect and I hope she'll be appointed board secretary in the new year at reorganization, which will be here before you know it.
Well, great. Welcome, Nathan, and welcome, Deandria. It's really great to have you both on board.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's nice to be here.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, Mr. Lesko?
No, I do not have anything right now.
Okay. Let's see. We have subcommittee reports. We have an upcoming landscape subcommittee meeting next week. I don't think that we've had any committee meetings since our last meeting, have we? Yeah.
The chair there.
So landscape committee Wednesday, 9 a.m.
Yep, Wednesday, 9 a.m. I'm going to finalize it tomorrow with a sunshine notice and put it on the municipal calendar. The landscape committee will discuss a landscape plan for the 469 Ewing site and to follow up on conditions of approval for an approved landscape plan at 900 Herrontown Road.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And one other update, the site plan committee was canceled last month, as you know, and it probably will be canceled again in October.
Okay. Applications. We have 3 applications tonight from Princeton Public Schools. The first is Princeton Middle School. This is a conditional use authorization. at 217 Walnut Lane, block 7302, lot 12. This is file number P2525-683CO. Justin?
Madam Chair, publication
Oh.
and service are in order, and the board has jurisdiction.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Jerry.
Will you swear in Mr. Lesko?
Yes. Justin, if you could raise your right hand.
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give be the truth?
yes, I do.
Why don't we swear in our whole staff? Jim, could you unmute yourself and raise your right hand? Is there anybody else on the staff that we expect to be testifying?
Derek,
Derek is here. So
And
let's,
what about Victor?
Victor.
oh, of course,
Victor,
yes.
If you could,
Unmute yourself, Victor. Derek.
if you could all raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give be the truth?
Yes,
I do.
No.
Just want to affirm, if you could just go around and state your full name.
Justin Lesko.
Jim
Derek Bridger.
Purcell.
Derek Bridger. Victor Anosike.
Great.
Thank you,
Right ahead.
Madam Chair. Thanks. Dan Weissman, Derek Bridger, Jim Purcell, and I wrote a joint memo for each application, so I'm going to summarize that memo here. I'm mainly going to cover the board's role tonight and leave the proposals themselves to the schools to present. And just a operational note, like last time, I'm going to refer to the planning board as the board and the Princeton Public Schools as the schools instead of the Board of Education, to hopefully make things more clear. You may remember about a year ago, this month, the schools came to the board for a capital review of the 3 proposals you'll see tonight. The board provided comments back to the schools at that time, which the school sent to the State Department of Education prior to a referendum that was approved by the voters on the projects you'll see tonight. And in a way, the capital review a year ago was more of a planning exercise and a broad one, whereas this conditional use review tonight for these 3 projects is going to be heavy on engineering and details. And I say that not to give myself the night off, but to foreshadow that you'll be hearing from multiple engineers tonight. And this includes the applicant's civil engineers who drew up the plans, and the applicant's traffic engineer who had additional recommendations on the sites and in the municipal rights of way around them. Then on the municipal side, you'll hear from Jim Purcell, who's reassuming the land use engineer position for now that he held 4 years ago, as well as our traffic engineer, Victor Anosike, who wrote reports for each of the sites, or one report covering each of the sites, I should say. And additionally, reference will be made to a memo Deanna Stockton wrote in her capacity as municipal engineer regarding the proposals or the parts of the proposals that are in the public right of way. And Jim will get into that, but I know she spoke with our traffic safety committee as well as our police department to come to a conclusion of what the municipality will implement where it's on our land, essentially. The reason the schools are back before the board is not just because they listened to the board's comments and made many of the changes recommended last year, but also our municipal ordinance requires conditional use approval for schools in the residential zones that these 3 are in. The schools by state law are exempt from formal site plan review, including stormwater regulations, though they obviously need to include site plans of what they are proposing to do in order to prove that they meet the conditional use standards of our ordinance in section T10B 321. That section refers to principles the board shall consider on conditional use applications, which I'll read in full in a second. And this is going to be a little long, so bear with me for a second. Quote, in making its decision on an application for approval of a conditional use, the planning board shall take no action which will substantially impair the intent or purpose of this article. The board may attach such terms and conditions to an approval of such application as in its judgment will preserve such public good or such intent or purpose, and shall be guided by the following principles. A, the local need for the proposed facilities and whether or not the same is adequately served by existing facilities within feasible distance of the area to be served. B, the existence of nuisance factors and whether or not adequate shielding by way of landscaping or distance from the nearest property line is provided to minimize any such factors. C, the effect of the amount of traffic which the proposed use may reasonably generate upon existing streets, the safety of nearby uses such as schools or other places of congregation or public service, the peace and quiet of nearby property, and the use of public right-of-way for parking, service, or any other purpose. End quote. For a school use specifically, our ordinance also requires that the site conforms to the standards set forth in Section 300 of the State Board of Education's 1969 Guide for Schoolhouse Planning and Construction. That section was included as an appendix in our memo packets. Three things to keep in mind are that the Section 300 of the Guide for Schoolhouse Planning and Construction is titled Selecting a Desirable School Site. And obviously schools have been on these sites for some time. The proposals are more of infill ones on existing school sites rather than selecting new sites. Next, that section really speaks in generalities rather than objective measures regarding locations and things like that you would consider for those sites. And finally, the document was adopted in the same year as the last time the New York Jets won a Super Bowl with Joe Namath. So it has been some time since we've gotten a new document. In addition to addressing the conditional use principles and the standards of that 1969 document, we also have some comments in our report or our three memos regarding exterior lighting, traffic, Princeton Environmental Commission recommendations, and a few other things that we could come back to after each presentation if they're not covered by the schools. And one last thing I want to note, even though the school's stormwater management review is under the jurisdiction of the State Schools Development Authority, we did have our stormwater management consultant review the applications and provide recommendations that we hope the schools will consider. Jim, is there anything that you'd like to add at this time?
No, you took all my thunder away. I think you covered everything.
Excellent. Great. So Madam Chair, I would hand it back to you at this time. And you're on mute.
I didn't want to cough it over you. I saw that Mr. Anosike activated his camera. Do you have anything, Victor, to add before we get started? I'm not trying to prompt you to say something. I just want to make sure there's nothing pressing you want to bring to our attention before we hear from the applicant.
No, I was just adjusting my camera, that's all.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so on behalf of the schools, we have, who is quarterbacking?
I think I'm introducing the quarterback.
Okay.
And hopefully he'll be Joe Namath like this evening. My name's Mike LaSousa. I am the newish superintendent of the Princeton Public Schools. And I just would like to begin, first of all, by thanking all of the members of the planning board, Madam Chair, and everyone. We know that this is a special meeting. We appreciate your time. We know that you're acting on a...
Yeah, I'm going to have to swear you and the
Oh,
rest
I'm
of the
sorry.
witnesses in. No, that's fine. So if you and your other witnesses could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
I do.
You're so sworn or affirm. If you can go around, state your full name, spell your last name.
Sure. Michael LaSousa, LASUSA.
And Mr. LaSousa, since you're the MC, you can call on your witnesses one at a time, so there's less chaos.
Okay, I'll do my best. So I'll begin with Mr. Brandon Croker. He is the land use attorney for the Board of Education.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, I'm not going to swear Mr. Coker in though because
No, I can introduce the rest of the team as well. We have Andrew Harris, who's the school's business administrator. I will try to honor the distinction that Mr. Lesko offered in terms of to try to make the references easier. So Andrew Harris is the business administrator. We have George Duthie, who is board's architect, as well as Daniel Shatoni, also of FVHD Architects on behalf of the schools. Beth Kenderdine of Edwards Engineering Group, also on behalf of the schools. And Patrick Downey of Dynamic Traffic, also on behalf of the schools. Just as a matter of housekeeping, I don't know, Jerry, did you want to, I know you're going to swear people in, did you need me to qualify experts or I think so,
I'll swear them in as a group, and then as they testify, you should qualify them.
okay, sure.
Okay, so if you could go around and give you, have you already done that, given your full name and spelled your last name?
Yeah, we typically, each individual introduces themselves and spells their last name. In this case, Mr. Croker introduced each person, so, and I didn't want to interrupt the flow of that.
My apologies. I jumped the
No,
gun.
no, that's all right.
I asked everybody to go around and state their name and spell it for the record. So maybe we'll
All right, thank you.
go back to Dr. LaSousa.
Well, he already did.
He already did. Okay,
Yeah.
then we'll move on to Mr. Harris.
Andrew Harris, Harris, and as Brandon said, business administrator with the school district.
Okay, so I'm George Duthie. I'm a principal with FVHD Architects. That is spelled Duthie, Duthie, with FVHD Architects in Ewing, New Jersey.
I'll follow George. I'm Dan Scittone, Schittone. I'm a senior associate with FVHD Architects.
Beth Kenderdine, that's Kenderdine, with Edwards Engineering Group. We are the civil site engineers.
Good evening, everybody. Patrick Downey, Downey, with Dynamic Traffic. We're the traffic engineers for the schools.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Crocker, if you want to lead the show or however you want to do this, or Mr. LaSousa?
Sure, absolutely. So a matter of housekeeping, did you want us to address them in I know some of the review comments kind of addressed all three sites, it just in the order they're on the agenda, or just in terms of what makes the most sense or what?
Yeah, what we want to do right now is start with presenting everything for the middle school. We'll go through all of that testimony. We'll talk through the resolution and vote on that. And then we will move on to Little Brook Elementary, go through that process. I omitted from my description of the process for the middle school public comment. We'll hear public comment on each, but we're looking at them as three separate applications: middle school, then Little Brook, and finally Community Park.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So just preliminarily, I think your planner did an excellent job of just giving an overview and introducing the applications. I had some preliminary comments, but I think he too stole my thunder, and so I won't reiterate all those comments. But I guess just to add a couple things, just to make clear, we're here as Mr. Lesko explained, because of the conditional use ordinances that the municipality has. And just to be clear, we're here for, and we'll address them separately, but where there's three separate sites that are already operating, they already have school facilities on them. The scope of what we're here for is really the additions and the expansions of the existing facilities and the existing educational uses. In other words, the new stuff. We're not here seeking conditional use approval for the entirety of sites. They've already been approved and are operating. And just to reiterate, I think he made it clear, but just in your ordinance, the considerations that are specified for the board's consideration are those three that he named. The local need, which I think we've explained in the referendum that our existing facilities are are insufficient, and you know, that's why we're here. And then the nuisance factors, which you hear from the experts about, and also traffic, which you'll hear from the experts, especially Mr. Downey. So we think we can meet those, you know, those standards, and that's why we're here. But I would say, you know, we're here about a year ago, and we have, you know, appreciated the feedback at that time. At that time, we committed to work collaboratively with the board during the design phase, and I think we've done that. And the reason we're here separately is, as we explained last time, there were we essentially bifurcated the applications for cost considerations because we didn't want to go through this whole process if the referendum was not going to pass. So we set this aside and committed to coming back at a later date. You know, if and when the referendum passed. Thankfully, we're here that it did pass, and now we're back before you to seek that approval on this second piece of the puzzle. So I think otherwise, you know, Mr. Lesko kind of went over everything. I will just add, and I think it'll be clear when the experts testify, but we, you know, we have incorporated or tried to, you know, where possible, or address all your experts' comments, and you know, continue. We thank everybody for the feedback, and you know, we have really tried to work cooperatively. So I guess in terms of addressing the middle school, just for purposes of the record, that is 217 Walnut Lane. It's block 7302, lot 12, and it's in the R8 zone. And again, that your ordinances specify that, you know, that public schools are conditionally approved in residential zones upon compliance with that 1969 document, which could possibly be outdated and been superseded by, you know, more relevant authority. But in any event, we think a lot of the considerations are addressed in the plans, as well as the other principles we previously discussed.
Well, that's a great segue for looking at the plans.
Sure.
So I don't mean to foreclose anything you were
Absolutely
that was important to say, but maybe we can
move it along.
Start taking a look at the plan and go through the issues that were flagged in the invitation to discuss one thing and another that were in the staff memos.
Sure. If it's okay with the board, my thought would be to ask Mr. Duthie to give just a brief overview of the projects, then
Great.
over to Ms. Kenderdine to go through the more detailed engineering plans that she worked so hard on, and then have Mr. Downey address the, you know, some of the traffic comments from your engineer. But if the board would prefer, you know, a different order, or, you know, manner of handling things, I'm happy to do so.
No, that sounds just fine. Thank you.
All right. So I'll ask Mr. Duthie, could you just, in terms of the middle school project?
Well, first we need to qualify. Is that, am I right here, Mr.
Fair
Muller? We need to qualify, Mr. Duthie. If you could just talk a little bit about your education and other qualifications.
Sure. So I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed for more than 40 years. During that period of time, I've worked almost exclusively on the design of public schools throughout the state of New Jersey. I went to school at the New Jersey Institute of Technology, graduated with a Bachelor of Architecture degree. I won't tell you when. And so I have been a licensed architect, as I said, for 40 years, and employed by the same firm, by the way. And I'm now happy to say I'm a principal of that firm, have been for more than 15 years. Also, working with the Princeton Board of Education on an exciting referendum project, and a lot of collaboration back and forth, including with the planning staff of Princeton, much appreciated. I'm also a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, not quite as long as 40 years, but I've been doing that as well, and really in conjunction with the work that I do for my firm. So, you know.
Thank you. We accept your qualifications.
Okay. I could segue. The description of the project that's contained in Mr. Lesko's memo is good, and I really don't have much to add to the middle school, other than to say that our goal in the design was to create, you know, compact additions that would have minimal footprints challenges of those sites, all of the sites, particularly the middle school, very challenging site. So in managing the stormwater, managing the traffic and all the other issues, obviously proximity to residences nearby. So, I hope in our testimony from our experts, from Beth and also from Patrick, you'll see that we did, first of all, take into consideration and try to address as many things as we could in consideration of the constraints that we have to work under. And so I think I'll just turn it over to Beth now and ask her to just kind of tell you about the process. And I know she's familiar with those comments, and I can certainly add or testify when needed. Thank you.
Okay. And we'll qualify you as well, Ms. or Dr. Kenderdine. I'm not sure.
No,
Your
no, just
Excellency.
Dr. Kendra.
I have to
But
say,
I'm
I've
wondering
only-
whether, is somebody going to be able to share a screen and show
Yes,
as
I
you
can do
describe?
that.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'll step back and let you talk about your qualifications.
I've only been licensed for 20 years, so George has me way beat. I graduated in 1998. I got my professional engineering license in 2005. Like George, I do a lot of work on public school projects. I've testified before planning boards all over New Jersey, worked in a lot of school districts across New Jersey. If there's any questions, I'm willing to answer them.
And you're licensed in the state of New Jersey, I assume? I just want.
Yes.
Got
Or I
that.
should have specified that. Yes.
We accept your qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I am going to share my screen of Princeton Middle School. Here we go. Can everybody, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. This is the cover sheet of the plan set that we put together for Princeton Middle School. It is so it's the overview of the whole site. So it's probably the easiest one in which to describe the improvements that we're proposing. So on the front of Princeton Middle School, there's a large building addition. We're creating a small courtyard here. And then we're proposing there's a covered walkway along the front to the new entrance of the building. Walkways along the front to access the building at all doors. All of those will be code compliant and ADA accessible. Then
So
we're going to
just for reference, the street to the left is Walnut. Is that correct?
Yes, wouldn't it be handy if my plans had, but yes.
That's all right. I just want to make sure everybody's oriented. Okay.
Yes, I apologize for that. So yes, this is Walnut on this side. Across the top is, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Hold on one second.
EO.
EO.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All of you all who are much more familiar with the streets of Princeton. Okay. So like I said, we're proposing this building addition with a covered walkway. We're essentially replacing that front entrance of the middle school. So we're trying to recreate that same entrance feel to the new building addition. There'll be some new walkways, some new stairs just to navigate the elevation change. That's at the front of the building. At the rear of the building, we're proposing a new addition in the back. Again, the site improvements are pretty much just to accommodate the new addition. So we're reconfiguring the walkways around the addition. We're reconfiguring the dumpster enclosure, reconfiguring some of the parking areas around the building addition, just to accommodate the addition. So the primary purpose of our site work for Princeton Middle School is really just to accommodate the new building additions. The rear of the site, actually, we are not proposing any new impervious coverage. So we are not proposing any new stormwater management for the back of the school. We're going to use the existing detention basin that's in the back of the school. For the front addition, we are proposing a new bioretention basin in pretty much the only area left of open lawn that we can use in the front of the building. So This, like I said, is the kind of the overall picture. And now I'm going to go to some of the larger scale drawings so you can see some of the detail. I'm going to skip over the existing conditions plans unless anybody has any questions on those, and just go into kind of the site plans that we put together showing the more detailed layout. So this is a site plan showing the front building addition, the one facing Walnut. As you can see, there's the covered walkway along the front. There's the new sidewalk connecting to the existing sidewalk. There's new sidewalks and some retaining walls and stairs just to navigate the elevation change to the new doors to the building. We are proposing a new concrete area for additional bike racks along the frontage of the school. And otherwise, pretty much the only big change is going to be the bioretention basin in the front. This is, you can see the rear addition for Princeton Middle School. Again, if we're just putting in some new sidewalks, some new stairs, some retaining walls to navigate elevation changes and make these new doors work. We're reconfiguring the rear parking just to accommodate the addition that's here. We're proposing a new emergency generator next to the existing building, and and a new, like a cold box, an exterior refrigerator back that can be accessed from the service area in the rear of the site. I think what I'll do is skip to the grading plan so you can kind of get an idea of where the bioretention basin is going to go. So this front lawn area of Princeton Middle School is occupied by a large underground detention system that was put in during a previous building program on the site. So really the only open area we have to use for green infrastructure, stormwater management, is this lawn area adjacent to the underground detention system. So this basin is designed to store and treat runoff from all of the new impervious coverage that we're proposing for this addition and the sidewalks. I think that's pretty much a general overview. If you'd like, I can go through the comments that were on the planning memo. Does that make sense?
Sure, yes, thank you.
So I am on page 4 of 5 from the planning memo dated September 19th, 2025. And the first comment is regarding the emergency generator and the cold box, which I mentioned are proposed adjacent to the service area in the rear of the site. I get the comment essentially asks whether we have considered alternative locations. And I can state for a fact that we have, because I sat in on a meeting discussing the location of these, the emergency generator and the cold box. And unfortunately, the constraints of the site are such that there was really no other practical location for the emergency generator. We recognize that the noise of the emergency generator would affect neighbors. So as far as I know, we did have decibel calculations performed for that and decided to put it closer to the existing school building rather than on the other side of the parking lot where it would affect neighbors. So we have considered the impact to the neighbors. It should be considered, I think, that it only gets run maybe once a week for 20 minutes. I think George can speak more intelligently on that. And otherwise it would only be running if there was an emergency need for it. So we have given consideration to the neighbors as far as the emergency generator and the cold box are concerned. And we certainly can install landscaping or some other kind of buffer around the cold box if desired. For comment number 2, regarding additional exterior lighting, there is no plan at this point to install any site lighting, any additional site lighting in the rear of the school. We anticipate that there will be some lighting on the school building that will provide illumination of the rear parking stalls. But that will be directed towards the parking stalls. And of course, we will take into consideration house shielding and any other design considerations to minimize the impact to the neighbors. So like I said, it will probably just be some exterior lighting of the building for emergency purposes. We don't anticipate any new site lighting for this rear parking lot. Comment number 3, I am going to defer to Patrick Downey once I'm finished with my testimony, because that is regarding the traffic recommendations. Comment number 4 regarding stormwater management. This is actually a sort of a generalized comment for all 3 of these sites. We are subject to the New Jersey stormwater management rules. So we have to, by law, follow all of the requirements of the New Jersey stormwater management rules. And we're also subject to the DNR Canal Commission, which actually has some stricter requirements than the New Jersey stormwater management rules. So the stormwater management systems for all 3 of the sites will provide peak reductions, water quality, groundwater recharge, and green infrastructure in the form of bioretention for all 3 sites. Then question number 5 is regarding the green development checklist and pervious pavement, the green roofs and renewable energy techniques, dark sky compliant lighting, EV chargers, additional bike racks, and traffic demand. Like I said, I'm going to defer to Patrick Downey regarding the traffic. EV chargers, we are not proposing any EV chargers at this point. I don't think there's really enough parking that we could designate EV chargers, but it's certainly something that the schools can consider if they want to put that in the future. The dark sky compliant lighting, like I said, we're only proposing basic lighting on the building. We're not proposing any site lighting. So there shouldn't be any issues with light pollution. As far as pervious pavement is concerned, I have a tendency to avoid pervious pavement as much as I possibly can, especially for any kind of turning movements or steady use of pavement, because it has a tendency to disintegrate under heavy usage. So I have a tendency to gear towards other green infrastructure options like bioretention, because my experience with pervious pavement in any kind of school situation where the pavement is used on a frequent basis is that it has a tendency to ravel. It turns into a gravel parking lot. So I use it sparingly. And I haven't proposed any of that on any of these school sites because I just don't think it's practical. So I think with that, I will open myself up to questions from the board.
Ms. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mueller, did you have?
I was just wanted a clarification. When you were talking about putting a buffer, installing a buffer, was that around the coal box?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. If that's yes, if they put the cold box in, we can put some kind of a buffer around it. mitigate any noise from the machinery.
So this would not be a vegetated buffer then, it would be some kind of structural
Oh, no,
buffer?
I was envisioning some kind of vegetated buffer.
All right, thank you.
Well, plants offer, even evergreens, very, very limited, if any, soundproofing, or at least so I've heard from sound sound experts. But it certainly might be worth putting, depending on how big and bulky and tall that equipment is, it might be worth putting in it for a screen. And I am wondering whether if it's, something that runs 24/7, like, I mean, I assume it is because it's a great big refrigerator, right? So have you looked at the decibel level of just the ongoing running of that cold box?
George, do you know if that's been studied? You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I'll also say, if Beth doesn't know this, on the architecture side, we are going to have an enclosure around the walk-in box. It'll be a masonry enclosure. So there's going to be definitely some sound absorption there and probably a little bit of reflection as well. And the current plan is to bring the walls of that enclosure up. So it extends above the condensing unit that sits on top of the unit. So that should greatly mitigate the noise. I don't know off the top of my head the decibel levels of that. That's information we can certainly find out. But I do think between the landscape screening and the wall that we're going to construct on 3 sides. Now, the side that faces the school, we have to keep open, obviously, for access. But the 3 other sides, we are going to enclose with a masonry, architectural CMU, or other type of material, heavy masonry material.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen? And then Mr.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I mean, I know we're not really here to talk about stormwater, but since you mentioned the pervious pavement, how do you feel about pervious pavement for walking surfaces? Because you have quite a bit of new impervious coverage towards the front entry. And I assume it doesn't have the same drawbacks as you were referring to for a traffic surface. So just talk a little bit about why or why not you would consider it for the walking surfaces.
But I mean, typically pervious pavement it's not meant as a means to limit runoff. It's meant as a way to treat water quality. I don't need to treat water quality on walking surfaces. So pervious pavement also typically needs a large stone section below it to get you beneath the frost line. So it's just overkill, honestly, for a walking path. It doesn't I would have to put a large section of stone underneath. I would have to probably under drain it because there's no infiltration in the soils. So it's a large amount of money for a walking path, in my opinion. It's just not economical.
Okay, I mean, I'm assuming your bioretention meets the need, so it's sort of a moot point.
Yeah, it's a small scale bioretention basin. That's on all 3 sites. They'll be landscaped. They'll look like a rain garden. It's designed to provide the water quality treatment that pervious pavement would provide.
I would suggest with all of these bioretention basins to look really carefully at the planting plan for those basins. It's really important that those plants be on the list that DEP provides in the BMP manual. And often, firms that, frankly, know more about engineering than landscape architecture or, bioretention design spec just the wrong plants. And so those these basins can be just fantastic teaching tools and absolutely beautiful features, or they can be something else. And it'll be really important at our schools to have good, and I know the schools have got very active, student and parent organizations that would be a terrific resource for helping making it great.
Yeah.
We actually have a landscape architect
Great.
Working on our staff that put together the planting plan.
And
Very
if I may
good.
add, and if I may add, there was a similar project done at the high school using native plantings in the basin that's located there. And so, it is our intention to work with the municipality, the landscape architect. We have Sustainable Princeton involved in our projects as well.
Terrific.
And have those native plantings that we've been discussing. We've kind of started that conversation. That's something we have to finish up, but we'll definitely do that. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The screening for the generator, will that also be masonry or will that be another material? I'm sorry, Mr. Duthie, you're...
I have it. Sorry, my screen was blocked. Yes, there's going to be, we haven't decided yet. We're either going to do a masonry enclosure around the generator, or we're going to do a like an acoustical fence, a type of sound enclosure like we sometimes put around chillers.
Okay.
There'll be something like that around the generator. Also,
No, the cold box is what you're saying.
no,
No,
around the generator, around the generator.
Around the generator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll fence it in, sure. And we also have sound curves. I don't know if I have those with me for the decibel readings as we get further and further away from the generator. The noise drops off considerably, well within the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection residential noise standards, which we are complying with, although technically generators are exempt. So, we expect for the amount of time it's going to be running for an hour a week on exercise. The only other time you would hear it is when there's an actual power failure.
Yeah, and I mean, probably isn't even an hour a week. Hopefully it's
Probably not.
like
Half
15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're nearby, it'll be loud.
You'll hear it. Oh
So,
yeah, but we hear generators now everywhere.
Absolutely, right.
Everybody has a generator.
Yep. Well, yeah, absolutely. I just want to. I commend the idea of an acoustic type of enclosure.
Yeah.
Other questions from board members? And Mr. Coker, do you have any other experts that you want to?
Yeah, my intention.
Yes, your traffic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could go to Patrick Downey, maybe to I know you're the board's traffic engineer had given a review memo, my apologies, and Mr. Downey had written a response. I think it's been transmitted, but I think he wanted to address it on the record. So I could have Mr. Downey do that now with respect to the middle school. That would be appreciated.
Sure. And would you like me to begin with qualifications?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sure. So once again, thanks for having me, Patrick Downey, with Dynamic Traffic engineer for the schools. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey as well as Pennsylvania. Hold a supplemental certification as a professional traffic operations engineer. My education is a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Rowan University, and I've testified before other planning and zoning boards throughout New Jersey. I've had the great opportunity to work with this particular design team on a number of other school projects in New Jersey, and excited to be a part of another good one.
Great, thank you. We accept your qualifications.
Thanks very much. So actually, while I begin, I might ask if our engineer, Beth, if you don't mind, maybe put up the overall site plan that you started with. I think that might be useful just as I go through a few of the items I wanted to summarize. Starting just with kind of what our overall process is for a project like this, where we're looking to improve and expand an existing facility. So we obviously have a number of conversations with the school to understand what they see out there today, where their pain points are, et cetera. We do our own boots on the ground observations, see where buses and parents are using for their loading operations, talk to the crossing guards, try to pick their brains, what they see on a daily basis, and then review the proposed plans to make sure that they're going to adequately accommodate Not only the minor increases in traffic from the student enrollment expected to increase over time as a result of population growth, but see if we can't make things a little bit better to organize the traffic activity that already exists for the existing school use on the property. We submitted a report for this school and the rest in early August that looked at a number of different factors, chief among them being additional trip generation for the expected student enrollment increase over time. To summarize for this particular school, obviously being the only public middle school, it gets a little more increase than the individual elementary schools do, as you'll hear in some of the other applications later. But even here, we don't believe it's something that's dramatic. So during the morning peak hour, which from a traffic perspective normally overlaps a little bit more with the commuting peak hour of surrounding community traffic, based on the rates published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is really the industry standard nationally, we're projecting a trip generation increase of about 130 or so trips. And I think it's important for the board to know what a trip is in the industry. That's a one-way movement. So a single parent, say dropping off a student, is 2 trips. They arrive at the site and then depart the site. So 130 trips is really between 60 to 70 additional cars, if you want to think of it in more layman's terms, which is about 1 per minute during that peak hour. Relative to the existing volume of traffic already associated with that school use, we don't believe that's anything that really changes the character of the operation here. But nonetheless, we've identified a number of improvements that we think can actually better manage the traffic circulation at this site compared to what it is today, even taking into account that increase. I think it's also important to note that increase in traffic isn't necessarily proposed, quote unquote, in the sense of a normal land development application this board might ordinarily see for a new housing development or commercial use. This is really a projected increase from population growth that's coming whether we accommodate it or not. So we're trying to get ahead of it and make sure the facilities can accommodate that growth when it does occur. As you can see, and the board's probably very familiar with this site, there's not a lot of on-site traffic circulation. The parking lots are rather small and simple. A lot of the activity is occurring on the municipal right-of-way streets of Walnut and Guillot. So there's nothing we can do without really close coordination with the municipality, which has already begun at a preliminary level. And just to kind of give you a menu of some of the improvements we're looking to make at a high level that we've received preliminary positive feedback on and a willingness to work with from the municipality. Better allocating the curb space. Right now, where the bus loading zones are signed to be versus where they actually occur, where parents are signed to be versus where they actually go. It doesn't really all make sense. I think there's a much more efficient way we can allocate that curb space. Better striping along the roadways. To give you 2 quick examples, there are some ADA parking spaces along Guillot directly up against the existing pedestrian crosswalk. That's really the least appropriate place for parking spaces since it actually blocks visibility of the crosswalk. It doesn't comply with New Jersey Title 39 parking regulations. So looking for a better location for those ADA spaces that's just as convenient, but not too close to that crosswalk. Trimming low-hanging vegetation across pedestrian routes, specifically along Walnut. That's something we observed. Installation of additional bike parking spaces and installation of some additional ADA spaces in the on-site rear parking lot you see to the right of your screen there, based on some feedback from your traffic professional review. In terms of parking supply, we also did go out there and quantify existing parking demand on a typical school day toward the end of last year and compare that to the existing and proposed parking supplies. To put some numbers to that, the proposed parking supply in the future condition, including both the on-site lot and the accessory lot just off the page to the north here across Guillot, proposed total parking supply of 131 spaces. What we found during the peak time, which is really midday once everyone has arrived and is parked for the day, was about 115 spaces. Now we do have some additional staff anticipated as that population grows of about 10 to 12, even conservatively assuming a growth of 12 more parked vehicles on site. That's a total demand expected of 127, which still falls within the 131 spaces proposed. So from an operational perspective, even considering that growth that's expected, there's enough parking to satisfy the needs of the school between those 2 parking lots. In terms of bicycle parking, we found that there's a lot of students who bike to school here. It's actually great to see the bike parking spaces were overflowing on the days that we did observations. So there's absolutely a demand for more bicycle parking. One of the comments in the traffic review is to make sure that the bike parking supply provided complies with ordinance requirements. At a minimum, we would absolutely agree to do that. But we might actually go above and beyond that, because additional biking trips means less vehicle trips is exactly what we want to encourage. And it's great to see. We want that to continue. We did submit some responses to the traffic review letter from the board's traffic consultants. In their letter, they requested some additional information to further clarify things stated in our original August reports, and made some good suggestions for improvements to the plan, like the ADA parking I mentioned before. Overall, we take no issue with the comments in that letter. I'm happy to go through it in more detail if you like, but in general, we would agree to comply with what's stated in that letter.
Great.
That's really all I have in the way of direct. Happy to answer any questions.
Is the bike parking covered? No.
Correct. The bike parking is
See,
not covered.
I didn't hear. I didn't see you answer, but I saw Mr. Cohen shake his head, so that's why I assumed the answer was no.
Yes, that's correct. It is not covered.
Thanks. Mr. Cohen?
Yeah, I did want to ask a couple of questions about the bike parking. Because from my read of the staff comments, they were suggesting, I think, both that the quantity of the bike parking comply with the ordinance as well as the design. I know almost all the racks that are there currently don't really comply with the design of the kinds of racks that we like to see. So I just am wondering, number one, can you quantify like how many bike parking spaces the ordinance would require, about how many you have currently, about how many you have currently that comply with the design requirements, and how many you're talking about adding? So
Sure. So the bike racks that are there today are fairly old, not exactly a modern design, fairly rusted. We don't have an exact count of those, but we will absolutely need more racks to increase the supply. So if I think there's maybe 5 existing racks. If those were to be a request of the board to replace, I don't think that would be an issue to ensure they're a consistent modern design. The ordinance requirements a little bit difficult to calculate. It's not just based on square footage or students, an easy number. It has to do with occupancy of the building. So our suggestion in our response to the traffic review was, as any condition of an approval this board might choose to grant, we would confirm that calculation with your professionals, make sure enough are provided in the correct location and design to their satisfaction.
great.
Yeah, and Pat, I wanted to comment that in your traffic study, you actually have identified what you feel would be the percentage of students, and there's probably some staff too, who will ride their bikes to school. So we would certainly account for that as a minimum number, and probably then some as well. And we could certainly replace the racks that are there with racks that comply with the municipality's design standards. That shouldn't be a problem. We'll just have to find out what those are, and we can get that, and we'll take care of it. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure it meets the requirements and it meets the operational need.
Even the existing racks, it is. We're doing this beautiful addition. We don't want, and we're moving them. We're moving them anyway, right, Beth? So
Mr. Duthie, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that faculty even or staff might be riding bicycles as well, because I noticed that the day on which you did the parking count was in early June, which is probably a peak time for staff to be riding a bicycle or walking, if that's if they're within a suitable distance. And the question is, do we feel comfortable that the parking demand on a day in early June really is the maximum parking demand, or whether, in the winter or when it's rainy, you might have a significantly higher demand for parking. So if somebody could respond to that.
Sure. Yeah, I can handle that. I think it's a great question. Definitely worth discussing. I think certainly your student population is very likely to vary in terms of, bikeability versus not, depending on the weather. I can say I'm within biking distance of my particular office here from my home, and
Yeah.
nicer
I'm
before
asking
weather.
this in regard to the car parking.
Yeah,
Not-
no, understood.
Okay.
No, I guess what I meant is I think most the staff get into their normal routines for the most part. There might be a few more who choose to bike, but I think for the most part, if they choose to drive, they're drivers, and that's kind of the mode they take. So, even me, I do like to bike recreationally. I've never even considered, depending on the weather, to bike to work, even though I could by distance. And the point
Well, you
your
should think
answer is
about
you
that,
don't-
Mr. Downey.
Your answer is you don't think that there would be more staff driving in inclement weather.
No, I think there certainly could be a little, but I don't think it's a major fluctuation. And the parking supply is not, right up against the demand projected.
It sort
There's
of
a little
is.
bit
I
of
mean, at
surplus.
127 demand, that's pretty close up against, what was it, 132, 133?
Yeah, it's about a 4 space surplus. Again, I'm not exactly sure what the breakdown is of the staff, but I wouldn't expect it to vary that much depending on the time of the year.
Yeah. I think the reality is short of doing something with the lot across on the other side of Grit, they were people park along there anyway. I mean, there is parking on that side of the street. And so I think that would kind of be the overflow, unless something changes there, with an ordinance or something, people do park there. And it does get filled up there, mostly after school, actually, and on weekends, actually. So when I've seen more cars there.
I feel a little bit in an awkward position because we're almost always trying to convince applicants to do less parking. But, my understanding is that the schools actually have a requirement to provide parking for staff. And so saying, well, if there's not enough in the lot, they'll park on the street. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that requires some action of actually reserving spots on the street.
Yeah.
From a legal standpoint.
Going back to the traffic report, Pat, if I heard something wrong, but you have accounted for all the staff in the building with the parking already. That's in your count, yes?
Yeah, so what we're finding is that the existing parking demand is not a one-to-one ratio with the staff count. So that could be due to some bikers or walkers. It could be due to carpooling or dropping off. There's a number of different modes of transportation.
Absenteeism.
Yeah, some absenteeism, which is fairly typical on any given day. So
Yeah.
it's not to say it's a one-to-one need for
Right.
staff 2 spaces. It's generally less than that, and that's what we saw out there.
And I think one of the other recommendations from staff was to consider a traffic demand management program of some type in the schools. And maybe that's more a question for Mr. LaSousa, whether that would be something you would consider. But I would think that would be another appropriate response if you were to find that the counts that were done on that day in June were not fully reflective of the demand.
Yeah, I think we can agree we should continue to monitor that situation over there at the middle school in conjunction with the other changes that are being made. Sure.
Just to chime in.
Yeah, I'll just add really quickly, Brandon, that at least in my experience, I'm accustomed to not having enough parking at school sites. I'm not, George would know better than I would. I'm not aware of a requirement that you have to have sufficient parking for every staff member. I've, for as long as I've been in the business, I'm familiar with staff members who have to park on the street or a lot nearby, like a half-mile away even, to then walk a path to get to their respective schools. And at the administrative offices where I work on Valley Road, there is insufficient parking for all of the staff who work there. So I personally park on the street each day. So I think there's enough parking, maybe not right at the school, but close enough that I would hope we'd be able to manage if we have a surge or an increase that we didn't anticipate, to try to accommodate everyone in a way that at least was reasonable and not too far off.
Yeah, and I think realistically, we have really, other than a small area that's trees and grass over in the parking lot, the auxiliary parking lot on the other side of the street, there is nowhere else to construct parking on the middle school property. So then I think it has to be a collaborative effort to figure out what we would do together, you know, if that this situation should occur. But as far as I know, and what Pat has said, it doesn't appear to be an issue at this time.
Just to briefly chime in,
Okay.
I mean, we don't believe it to be an issue, but in addition to come before this honorable board, we have to jump through a lot of other hoops, including, going through approvals with the DOE, and that parking on site is one of the things that's under their jurisdiction and they review. Again, we don't think it'd
Yeah,
be an issue.
but parking that spills onto the streets is in our purview. So.
Well, we think that the supply is adequate, but
We don't, based on what the data Pat has provided, dynamic traffic has provided, that doesn't appear to be the case of what would occur during a normal school day.
Okay, thank you. Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you. Why was there no consideration of EV charging stations?
I don't know if Beth wanted to address that.
I can address that. So it was looked at. It's really an issue of expense. It's an issue of cost, and the decision was made by a district. Two things: that to try to find a way to maybe have a vendor or somebody like that come in and install a system that could then be a revenue generating, and that would be the only way the district would be interested in doing an EV charging station, only because of the infrastructure, putting it in place, it's costly. So that, but they are open, it is on the palette for discussion at a future date.
Well, it seems that it would be easier to make them EV ready, even if you don't put in the final connections. You wouldn't have to then worry about re-tearing up the part of the parking lot in order to put in the infrastructure for it.
Sure, we could speak to the engineer, to the mechanical or to the electrical engineer about what that would entail in terms of making capacity available in the electrical switchgear that's going into the new additions. We could certainly talk to them about that and at least have the ability to make the connection on the school side. Okay, so if a vendor
Ready would be a very smart thing, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem, even if it's just a spot where a future spare breaker could go or something. We could run a pipe outside and put a box. That's really not, I'm not worried about that. It's the cost of the actual system, I think. And obviously it takes away a parking space that could be used by somebody else. So, but that we could certainly explore that further. But putting in the infrastructure for it, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Perlmutter, and then, yeah, go ahead, Freddie.
Well, I want to reiterate some of what's already been said because I'm on the Environmental Commission. I'm their representative on here, and from an environmental standpoint, we certainly would like to see EV charging stations. And the fact that it takes away somebody else's spot doesn't give me very much comfort because you're taking away a spot from an EV station. But if you look into the infrastructure and do as much as you can, we certainly would be in favor of that. And if you could possibly find the money to do it now, we certainly would like to see that as well. I mean, from an environmental standpoint, it clearly makes a difference.
Sure, happy to revisit. We will include the infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't quite catch the last thing Mr. Duthie said. Could you repeat that?
Mr. Duthie, your very last statement, you'll certainly include.
We will include the infrastructure for the electric vehicle charging stations in the designs for the electrical systems of all three additions at the projects, middle school,
Thank you.
community park. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Are there other questions for the schools about the middle school?
I just had a
project. I want to be mindful of time.
Madam-
You
Madam
know, we have a
Chair.
hard stop at 11 o'clock, and if we can get through all of these, I know we would all want to do that, and we have public comment to hear as well. So,
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Mueller, did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
just a question from
yeah.
Mr. Downey. You had identified a whole series of improvements that you were at least considering or maybe doing, better allocation of curb spaces, striping for the roadways, et cetera, moving those ADA spaces off Geo. Are those all in that report that you had submitted to the town?
So yeah, that report summarized our initial recommendations. We've had even more discussions with the municipal engineering department since then to sort of refine some of those. So, unlike a normal site plan where the improvements we're discussing are those on our own site, it's a coordination effort since they're in the public right of way. So, our commitment at this point is to continue working with them to make sure we see whatever improvements they would like to see happen, instituted.
Thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair, Jim Purcell,
Yes. Yep.
Acting Land Use Engineer. I on that same note, Mr. Downey, could you please speak to the memo that was received by you from our municipal engineer as to what the municipality is willing to do in order to consider your recommendations?
Sure. With number of memos, can you just confirm which one you're referring to? I apologize.
You received the memo from our municipal engineer, Deanna Stockton, regarding the efforts that the municipality would enter into to meet your recommendations. If you didn't receive it, the school district received it. Actually, it was sent to Beth Kenderdine. So, Beth, did you share it with your traffic engineers?
I believe it was shared with the entire team, but I have it in front of me.
I think it would behoove you to share, speak to it
Yes.
in terms of the recommendations from your traffic consultant.
I will share it. I have in front of me the memo. I can send Pat a copy as I do this. Hold on one second. The comments provided by Deanna are regarding the curb management along Geo Avenue and Walnut Lane. Regarding the signs, the drop-off and pickup zone signs for buses only. Deanna states that the signage improvements could be beneficial to assist with messaging the proper behavior, so she agrees with that comment. The second comment is regarding the 2 ADA parking stalls, which were already mentioned by Patrick. She is agreeing that the ADA parking stalls should be relocated to provide the 25-foot clear zone on each side of the crosswalk. Regarding the mid-block crosswalk across Geo Avenue between the accessory parking lot and the school building, she states that the Princeton Public Schools has recently changed traffic operations for the accessory lot. Parents are no longer allowed to use it during arrival and dismissal. With the proposed relocation of the ADA parking stalls, the visibility of the crosswalk will be enhanced, so no further modifications are proposed. And regarding an additional crosswalk on Geo Avenue, she does not support that based on consultation with the Police Traffic Safety Bureau. She has a comment regarding the investigation of improvements at Geo Avenue and Walnut Lane. She states that the municipality will consult with the public schools and Police Traffic Safety Bureau on the potential of restricting certain traffic movements when the crossing guard is controlling the intersection. So the municipality has agreed to work with Police Traffic Safety and Princeton Public Schools regarding that intersection. The recommendation to provide a wider drop-off lane along the middle school frontage on Walnut Lane is not currently supported based on consultation with Police Traffic Safety Bureau. The low-hanging vegetation is going to be handled by public schools. The comment regarding shifting the bus morning drop-off location along Walnut Lane to the north side of Franklin Avenue is not currently supported because based on a recommendation from the Police Traffic Safety Bureau, but they said they would monitor the situation. And then the last comment is regarding the partial southbound closure of Walnut Lane at Franklin Avenue during the afternoon pickup period. She states that the municipality does not support the recommendation, but will monitor the situation and consult with Police Traffic Safety Bureau and the school district. So I'll forward this memo to Patrick. I wasn't aware that he did not have it. So, and well, like as we said, we've been in consultation with the municipality regarding all of the recommendations made by Patrick Downey and his team, and we'll continue to consult with them.
Mr. Lesko?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So just to follow up on that, is it safe to say that the schools are in favor or they don't have an issue with any of those recommendations and you'd honor them either as a condition of approval or where applicable or just after the fact?
Certainly. I mean, at the end of the day, they are township roads and they're those to do with what they believe is safest and best. We came up with a number of recommendations, some of which sounds like are agreeable, some maybe not so much, and that's fine. We just want to be a good partner and make sure whatever they would like to see comes to fruition here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for posing that question, Mr. Lesko. And Mr. Purcell, is that what you wanted to hear? Needed to hear?
I think it was important for the planning board to hear, and
Yes,
there are other agreements that the municipal engineer has made for the other two schools as well. So they should address those as well in their testimony.
Good, right. Thank you for that. Other questions or comments from Mr. LaSousa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention that Jim and Deanna were absolutely terrific and gave a lot of time to us. They've been out to all three sites. They observed the dismissal and arrival at schools. They exchanged ideas with us and asked questions. So whatever guidance they give us and whatever they're willing to do, of course, we will accept that and continue to work with them. They've been terrific partners for us.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. And we know they're terrific and we appreciate that you think so too. Any other questions from board? Any other points that staff or professionals or witnesses wish to make before we hear from the public? Okay, with that, I will open up the meeting to public comment. I'm trying to get my cursor to the right place. We have 18 attendees here. Now is the time if you're observing the meeting and wish to address the board. Now's the time to raise your hand. Click on the raise hand icon and we will bring you over in the order in which your hands are raised. Joanne Marshall will be first. So just to go over the protocol, Mr. Muller will swear you in, and then he'll ask you to state your name and spell your last name. And it's helpful to know what street you live on. We're not asking for your entire street address, just sort of where in town you are. And so with that, I think we need to move Ms. Marshall over, and I don't see any other hands going up right now, so please do, if you want to speak, please do raise your hand and we'll take people in the order in which hands are raised. Mr. Lesko?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to reiterate to the public that we are, this is being split up into 3 separate applications. So the comment period right now is just for the middle school application that we just heard. And then, as the chair said earlier, we'll get to Little Brook next and the community park right after that with their own comment periods.
Great. Yes. Thank you for reiterating that. So let's see. I've lost track. We have moved over our first member of the public, have we not? I'm not seeing her on my screen quite yet.
Yeah, she actually declined to be a panelist on several invitations.
Okay. And so you moved over Nick Scott. Is there someone else that you moved over before Nick Scott?
Joanne Marshall was, he tried.
Yes, but she declined. Okay. Okay, Mr. Scott, if you could unmute yourself, Mr. Muller will swear you in.
Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm that testimony about to give will be the truth?
I do. Thank you.
So sworn or affirmed. Please say your full name, spell your last name, and give your street.
It's Nicholas Scott. Last name is Scott, and I'm at Gio Avenue.
Thanks. Welcome. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Yes. So I'm at 243 Gio, so right adjacent to the middle school and opposite the accessory lot. And this comment relates to one of the parking plan recommendations. And I know there's quite a bit of discussion about the parking capacity, so apologies if I missed this one in particular, but I did see that there was a recommendation F in the traffic report to expand the accessory parking lot to the east and remove extraneous grass islands to provide additional capacity within the lot. My comment was just to, if that is still something that's under consideration, state that I'd be supportive of filling in additional parking in those extraneous grass islands, but really would not want to see that parking lot expanded to the east, which I think would add to some traffic congestion issues and some issues with blocking driveways for those of us that live on Gio, and would also have the potential to require the removal of some mature trees. So apologies if that's not under consideration, but I did want to just make that comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Downey or Ms. Kinderdine, does somebody want to just clarify what the plan is for that parking? Are you going to remove the islands and create more parking there? I did not hear that was part of the plan.
It's not part of the current.
Not part of the plan.
It's not part of the
didn't think
current
so.
project.
Okay.
It
All
was
right.
part of it was within the traffic report as something the board or schools may consider at some point in the future, but it's not part of the current project, so we're not moving forward with it at this time.
All right, good. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Scott. So any other member of the public who would wish to address the board about the middle school, please raise your hand right now. Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this application, and let's move on to any final thoughts or questions, comments from any panelist. And if not, let's see. I know this is a slightly different sort of overview, go over the conditions process than we might typically go through because of what's under our jurisdiction and what isn't. Mr. Lesko and Mr. Muller, could you walk us through exactly what we need to do right now?
I think you want to basically act on the application, which is conditional use approval. And then in terms of, there's no site plan, and there would be the conditions we that we talked about.
Okay, so those conditions and including the recommendations, pro and not, from Deanna Stockton's memo, as well as those that are laid out in the staff memo.
In the staff memo, right, yep. And then the other ones I have are the Anasiki comments in response to the Downey material, and the report he originally did, then replace the bike racks with racks basically of modern design, in location that the staff approved, the number, location, and design, and location that the staff would approve. And then they'll consider installing EV-ready spaces and will include, I don't know if it's the right way of phrasing it, I think it is, electrical infrastructure and the electrical systems for the school to service EV spaces if they were ever installed. And I think that's what I have.
Mr. Cohen and then Mr. Lesko.
Yeah, I think that it's appropriate to have a condition for the masonry enclosure at the cold storage and for the sound fence at the generator, as that both of those were represented. They would be,
in fact,
agreeable. Yeah.
Let me go over our report, which I had not gone over. And that would be that there'd be the cold box, if it's installed, there'll be a masonry wall or acoustical fence around it. And I take it a vegetative buffer around that for aesthetic purposes. And that the generator, well, the generator's been moved closer to the building, so we don't have to say anything about that.
Well, they did agree to a not planted buffer, but an acoustic fence around the generator.
Generator, a masonry fence or acoustical fence.
Acoustical or masonry. No, probably not masonry. There's just not enough space, physical space.
Right.
It's probably have to be something thinner. Yeah.
Acoustical is probably more important because masonry is just going to bounce the sound around.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And that the fence will be as high as the condenser on the top of the coal box. And then that's all I have from the report.
Mr. Cohen again?
Yeah, I just also want to propose some language regarding my concern about the quantity of the, car parking, and maybe the condition is that they will monitor the adequacy of the spots that they have on site. And if they find that they're overflowing, that they will coordinate with the municipality to identify suitable off-site parking locations, whether that's at Westminster Choir College or on street in certain locations, to make sure that we're not negatively impacting the residential neighbors with parking overflow on those streets.
Would a third option for that be also like removing those islands in the existing parking lot and things like that? So other, not just off-street kind of binding the municipality, but also on their property as well?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Madam Chair, I had one more.
Please.
There was a discussion about native plantings in the rain garden, and I believe the school said they would work with the municipality, the municipal staff to make sure that's done.
Yep.
But all that they said about that was highly reassuring that they're
And
they're
Madam Chair,
already working.
Madam Chair, I have one more as well.
Please go ahead, Jim.
I
Yeah.
think it would be appropriate for them to provide us with photometrics to show what the lighting is going to look like with on the back of the building by the parking. Just so I can be satisfied that there is no trespass onto the adjoining properties.
Thank you very much for that. That was going to be my very last question. Something that got at that. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
And as part of this overall nuisance, I'd also like to see the audio,
Decibel.
the decibel levels that I think Mr. Duthie actually said that they did have some mapping for that.
Good.
For the generator? Yeah.
For the generator, yeah.
Sure, I'll have the engineer provide that in the photometrics, yes.
Thank you.
I think for the generator and the cold box, which I keep wanting to call an ice box, like my
walk-in
mom did.
freezer. Walk-in freezer, yes.
Walk-in freezer.
Well, yeah, we'll get that. I made a note of that already.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whatever sound information you have, please.
Okay. So with that, if there are no
Uh-oh.
We
Our
lost
chair has frozen.
Yes.
That's a fine time for my screen to freeze.
Because you were talking about the icebox too much.
Oh, I must, yeah. Yeah, my computer took the hint. Did someone make a motion yet? Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Moved by Mr. Cohen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
She's frozen again.
Okay.
One of us.
Does Alvin get it, or does
Alvin gets it? Yeah, Alvin gets it. We'll give Louise a second here, and if not, we'll go ahead with the roll call vote. Okay. Justin, are you going to do the roll call vote?
Certainly.
Okay.
Mr. Boddigheimer,
Yes.
Ms. Capizzoli,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Ms. Perlmutter,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson Anderson,
Yes.
and I will try to stall as long as
Yeah,
possible
let's
for
slow
Chair
walk this
Wilson,
through.
but it looks like we may have lost her.
She'll be back.
Either way, motion approved.
All right.
Would now be a good time for a bathroom break?
I think a 5-minute break would be in order here until the chair can log back in.
Great, so that would be 8:30.
Let's meet back at it's 8:32 now, 8:33 now. Let's meet back at 8:38 and certainly before 29. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Well, again, apologies for bouncing off, but you were in very capable hands with Mr. O'Donnell, who should be ready at any moment to do the same thing. Because as you guys can tell, I'm not in the room I usually am in. So the next application we have is for Little Brook Elementary School. This is a conditional use authorization at 39 Magnolia Lane, Block 5803, Lot 1. This is file number P2525 684CO. Justin, thank you, Mr. Muller. Can you speak to jurisdiction and proper notice?
Yeah, publication and service are in order, and the board has notice. And if I may, with respect, maybe to facilitate things a little bit, if we could treat everybody who was sworn in during the last session as to be continuing to be under oath, so they don't have to be resworn.
Excellent.
And the same thing with respect to the qualifications.
Good. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad that's something that we can easily do. Thanks.
Yeah, it's unusual, but here, given that it's the same applicant, I think it's perfectly appropriate.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. Justin?
Well, Madam
Anything
Chair.
to say to get us going, or?
No, in that spirit, I would just say the same things I said before the last one about the conditional use. So I think we could hand it off to the schools to present the plan.
Okay. Do we want to start with Mr. Croker, Mr. Duthie, or Ms. Kenderdine?
Just briefly, I'll refrain from just making any additional comments. I think the same same as Mr. Lesko, the same comments apply. The Madam Chair already read the address and block and lot into the record. The only thing I would add is that Littlebrook is located in the R4 district. More similarly, we're also here to pursue the referendum project. So I will probably proceed in the same order, and I'll ask Mr. Duthie just to give a brief overview, and then we'll ask Ms. Kenderdine to go through some of the more detailed engineering plans.
Great, and including anything from Deanna Stockton's memo that applies.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, I don't really have much to say. I'll turn it over to Beth shortly. Other than in keeping with really all of the projects, again, trying to maintain sensitive and compact footprints, that, accomplish a lot of things functionally, like tying parts of buildings together, so there's connectivity. We've tried to create some nice outdoor spaces. We've created some little courtyards, things like that I think are going to enhance the overall design and improve the site, as a matter of fact. Without further ado, I'll just turn it over to Beth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to find my memo regarding sorry. Yes.
And
okay.
will you, can you share your screen again? Great. Great.
Yes. So again, I'm just using the overall site plan. It was on the cover sheet of our plan set that we submitted. This is the existing Littlebrook school located on Magnolia Lane. You'll see the entrance driveway, the bus loop, the parking in the front. We are proposing a small building addition and then a larger building addition at the back of the school. We're going to replace an existing paved play area behind the school, and we will be expanding the existing parking lot behind the school to accommodate more parking on the site. There is sidewalks just to replace existing sidewalks, connect the new additions to the existing sidewalks, and we're proposing a mulched playground behind the school between the two additions. So I can go through the similar comments that we had from the memorandum, sent by the planning board, Justin Lesko, Dan Weissman, Derek Bridger, and James Purcell, dated September 19th, 2025. It's typically the same comments that we had. So what I can do is just go through kind of the so this is the site plan showing the parking expansion. Well, I'll show you this is the existing parking lot behind the school. So you can see it's kind of in an L shape. So we are just kind of squaring that out to provide additional parking for the school site. We're reconstructing the existing dumpster enclosure in the center so that it still has direct access off the main driveway. We're restriping it to provide standard 9x18 parking stalls. The entire outside will be curbed. There's excuse me, there's one island proposed. And then, like I said, there's the building addition is here. There's the paved parking or paved play area behind that building addition. And then the rest of the site is the mulched playground, the new building addition to the rear of the school with an interior courtyard. And then we are maintaining an existing playground at the rear corner of that site and proposing some ramps and walkways just to provide access to these rear doors to the school. The new bioretention basin will be located directly next to the parking lot. So there'll be a trench drain across the bottom of the parking lot, collecting as much of the pavement as possible to flow into the bioretention basin, where it'll be treated for suspended solids removal before being discharged into the same outfall that the existing storm sewer system discharges now. The comments from the planning professionals pertain first to the ADA parking stalls. There's a comment regarding the ADA stall requirement because the facility contains 62 spaces. ADA standards require 3 accessible parking spaces. This states that only 1 is shown, but I think that there was a misinterpretation because there are 2 existing stalls. Hold on 1 second, I will. So we're proposing 1 new stall with the revised plan, but there's 2 existing stalls at the front of the school. So we are meeting the requirement for the 3 ADA parking stalls. The second comment is regarding lighting. At this point, we are not proposing any new site lighting for this, the additional expanded parking. The existing parking lot is lit by dusk to dawn provided by the utility company. There's right in here, there's a utility pole with an overhead light. We intend to use that existing light. If it doesn't provide enough lighting, I believe the intention is for the school to work with the local utility company to provide additional dusk to dawn lighting through the utility company. But it should be noted that the parking lot itself is well away from any residential areas and surrounded on all sides by dense wooded areas. So there should be no issues with spillage. I've already addressed a lot of the stormwater management concerns. Like I said, we're proposing a large bioretention basin. It's going to be planted with native vegetation. We're also proposing landscaping around the site. Hold on 1 second and I will pull up the landscaping plan. So you can see we're proposing native trees and shrubs within the new bioretention basin. We're proposing some new trees around the site, especially to replace what's being taken out in the wooded area by the new parking lot. And the bioretention basin will meet all New Jersey stormwater management rules for green infrastructure. For the most part, the other comments, our answers are the same. There is one comment regarding a valid freshwater wetlands letter of interpretation for this project. You can see, might be, right at the top here. So this is the edge of our new parking lot where we're sort of squaring it off the existing. This line here is the limit of the 50-foot wetlands transition area. We did have the wetlands delineated by a certified ecologist, and he established the limit of the wetlands and established this 50-foot wetlands transition area. So if anything, we would probably go to the DEP for a footprint of disturbance LOI for no presence of wetlands or transition areas. But
I'm sorry
we're
to
confident we're outside the transition area. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Beth. Nat Boddigheimer, do you have a question you need to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I can wait to the end of the presentation, so I didn't need
Okay.
to at this moment.
Okay, thanks.
Well, coincidentally, that's the end of my presentation.
Incredible.
Okay.
That's the end of the comments from the staff report. So if there's something you'd like me to address, please feel free.
Anything in Deanna's memo you want to speak to?
I will leave that to Patrick, who now has a copy of said memo.
Okay.
So he can speak to that.
Oh, okay.
He will also address the traffic comments from the staff memo.
All right. What's your question, Nat?
Well, I was curious about the bioretention and whether that I couldn't tell whether on the right-hand side whether how much space there is between the southernmost edge of the bioretention swale and the woods, and whether the existing ball field, is still in place, or whether that is occupying the entirety of the ball field space.
It does not occupy the entirety of it, but it does cut into it.
Okay.
So probably this gives you a better understanding.
Mm-hmm.
This is the edge of the bioretention basin, and this is the tree line. So we will be cutting into that lawn recreational space.
I'm curious, is the bioretention basin is it passive? Is it possible for is it accessible to kids? Is that part of the play space, or is it not part of the play space?
No, it's designed to hold water for up to 72 hours.
So this is not like a low impact development kind of bioretention basin. This will be a pond.
Correct.
Yeah.
It'll be a large
only be a
rain
pond
garden.
when it for
I said
more
no, I
than
know.
72 hours when it rains really, really hard. It is
correct.
And it's not like a low impact development kind of thing with like pervious materials in a basin, in a basin beneath it. It will be a pond when it rains. That's fine.
Yes.
And then I guess my next question is, one of the nicer features of the driveway and the parking that is closest to the street is that it's all there are a lot of trees, and I do not see much tree coverage in the new parking lot. It looks like it's going to be a pretty bare apron, and I'm just kind of curious just about heat island kind of things, and what are there any opportunities for adding shade trees in that parking area, and have you considered it, or have you considered it and rejected it? But that's my question.
My answer to that would be we could incorporate islands so long as we meet the requirement for parking on the site. Obviously, taking out or putting in islands would mean taking out parking stalls. We are proposing additional trees around the exterior of the parking lot. We're not proposing any grassed islands within the parking lot itself.
What is going to be between the bioretention basin and the edge of the parking spot? I don't see any trees noted there.
Hold on. Let me find the correct plan.
Can I also ask, is that bioretention basin going to be, in what way is it going to be separated from the surrounding area? Is it going to be fenced? Is it going to be, are there stone blocks? Like what's?
Yeah, we'll propose a fence around it to protect it from students accessing it. It'll most likely be a 4-foot high black chain link fence to kind of hide it as much as possible, but it should be fenced for safety reasons.
No, I understand that. I mean, it just sounds, that sounds pretty ugly. And it does not sound very ecological. So, I mean, I have no idea what are the most effective ways to include hedging and, to do that kind of thing. But I mean, it's just, I mean, it's sounding pretty spare.
So I have the landscape plan up. You can see we do have some trees proposed around the bioretention basin and within it. What we can do is provide some additional trees between the parking lot and the bioretention basin on the berm, which will certainly soften the effect of any fencing.
I think that's a good idea with, making sure they're native species. And I understand the rationale for a fence. I would say it's really important to have a gate in the fence because people obviously need to access it and, regular maintenance, but also students and teachers might want to sometimes go in there and.
Yeah, there's a lot of loose balls around, and it's pretty easy to imagine balls getting kicked.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that field is littered with balls, and there's kids kicking balls, playing balls, throwing frisbees, whatever. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of aerial stuff. I have a soccer ball on the roof of the gym. Not that I'm bitter about that.
How long has it been there, Nat? It's been there since you were a student?
It's been some time, and it's really made me want to revisit my teenage years of sneaking onto the roof of the school. Haven't done it, school people.
That will not make it into the minutes.
Yep.
Um,
I'm not concerned.
Mr. Lesko, is that it, Nat, or?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to verify, is that fence shown on any of these plans?
It is not, no. We can certainly go over it with you when we have a final design plan. Essentially, it's going to surround, there's going to be fences around all of the bioretention basins.
Okay, so the board should be aware of that. Is that going to affect any of the existing trees or anything else that we're seeing here?
No.
No, okay. And, I hate to ask it this way, but are there any other things that are being proposed that we're not seeing in what was submitted?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. The question needed to be asked. Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, I just want to underscore the importance of getting some trees in between the bioretention and the parking lot, because I think you did represent earlier that there would be trees that would be helping to shade and mitigate the heat island effect that would be caused by not having any, grass islands in the parking lot itself. So right now I'm not seeing shade trees, and it would be important to get some in there.
Is it within our jurisdiction to suggest a certain number, or is this something you could work out to the satisfaction of the planning engineering department and the municipal arborist? Is that the right way to handle this? Because there's 3 trees and there's 12 trees. I mean, I'd rather not be prescriptive about it right here, but I do want to make sure it's sufficient to address the concerns that I think legitimately both Mr. Cohen and Mr. Bodegheimer have raised.
I mean, I would like to suggest that our ordinance does stipulate a quantity of islands within a parking area. And what we're saying is you don't have to do the islands, but I think the number of islands that would be required by our ordinance would be the appropriate number of trees adjacent to the parking, if that's acceptable to people. I think that's a good way to quantify it.
I honestly don't know, David, because I don't know how, maybe that's 2 islands and I feel like
I think
2
it's
trees
like
is
one
not
per
enough. And
I think it's like 1 per 10 parking spaces. I think maybe Jim knows.
So we're
or
talking
Derek,
like
or Derek.
6 maybe or something like that.
It's 1
Yeah,
per 10.
1 per 10. Yeah.
And how many parking spots are in this lot? Sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head. Is it like?
I think we're
6?
actually proposing additional 21 parking stalls.
Yeah.
So that would equate to 2 trees.
Yeah, I feel like that is insufficient. Along the edge of that parking lot, I feel like, at least 4 shade trees. So that's why I'm suggesting that
Well, they also have to
that
be
you arrive on something that, because they need to be, there needs to be room for them. They need to be compatible with the site and all of that stuff. But if you could work with the municipal staff to come to something that's acceptable to everybody, then that would work for me. Mr. La Sousa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention that Sustainable Princeton just helped the district secure a grant for new trees, and we will have 92 going in district-wide. So I don't, of course, have the specifications and the knowledge about which ones would be best at this site or provide the most shade or fit, but we certainly can engage and try to make sure that we are pushing and allocating as many trees as we can to Littlebrook and in this area to help out. And I'm sure Sustainable Princeton would be, game for giving us some guidance in that regard.
Fantastic. Thank you. Nat?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, it does not seem as if that space between the bioretention basin and the parking lot is designated for any other functional purpose, and it does seem like an appropriate location for a number of trees. So it seems like it should not be difficult to make that a wooded edge of that southern boundary of the parking lot. So I mean,
People will compete for those spots, that's for sure.
that is true. That is really true. That is really true. That is going to be a parking amenity.
Yeah.
On the south end of that lot.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that is a berm. This is a slope that goes down to the bottom of the bioretention basin. So we're going to have to put in probably some smaller trees. They're not going to be large canopy trees.
Then you can put in more of them. They don't have to.
Well,
they don't have to be 80 feet high. But
I don't want you to think we're putting in oak trees along the top of a.
No, so put in river birch trees or something like that. I mean, but
well, and it's also true. I mean, I just,
architect,
need to work with your landscape architect, because oak trees have tap roots that go down many feet, and they can actually access water that a lot of other smaller trees cannot. So just pick the right tree for the site, and tailor a sapodar and others can be a great help there. And your own professionals. Justin?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to be clear to board members, the southern edge of the parking lot, so the bottom of your screen, that's actually blacktop down there. So I don't think any trees are going there. We're really talking this eastern edge between the lot and berm.
It's really, yeah, it's in here.
Okay. All right. And is that blacktop? Well, what is that?
That's meant to be outdoor play space.
It's asphalt?
Yes.
That's there now. That's there now, right, Beth?
We're replacing it now. I think there's an existing basketball hoop there.
Ah.
That's
Okay.
there now.
Well, that could be a very good place for permeable pavement if you want to shrink the size of the bioretention basin, but we won't re-engineer it on the fly. Okay, do you have other questions for Ms. Kenderdine from board members or staff? Okay, are we going to hear next from Mr. Downey?
Yeah,
Is
so
that-
if there's no further questions for Ms. Kenderline, I would go to Patrick and ask him to speak to some of the parking comment and our responses with respect to the site.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brandon. So similar to the middle school, we undertook a similar effort here, comprised of both speaking with the school staff and performing our own boots on the ground observations of a typical school day. We also submitted a report as part of the Littlebrook application that again summarized trip generation and parking demand. Starting with the traffic generation, again, using the Institute of Transportation Engineers rates, it's a fairly insignificant change in traffic volumes projected here, simply because the change in student count is so much less compared to the middle school. During the highest peak hour, only about 11 peak hour trips. So, one every 5 minutes or so during a peak hour, which is not something we think would be even a perceptible change to the surrounding roadways. Similar to the other schools, we did identify a number of potential traffic improvements. I have now had the opportunity to review Deanna Stockton's September 18th memo, summarizing what the municipality has agreed to do with regard to those improvements. So similar to what our engineer did on the last application, I'll just briefly summarize what's in this memorandum as it relates to this particular school. So regarding the left turn restriction at the driveway that exists today, we identified an opportunity to improve some of the clarity of the messaging of that. The municipality will install signage to communicate the left turn restriction for vehicles except for school buses during the arrival and dismissal periods. And we encourage Princeton Public Schools to equip the parking lot monitors with safety vests and training if they are to continue directing traffic at the school driveways as needed. Certainly, that's something we could agree to comply with. Regarding the parking signage along the frontage of the school, the municipality will review and update the parking signage along the school frontage. Princeton Public School grounds have also been contacted to elevate tree branches, which obscure some of the signage. Again, no problem to comply with that. Enhance crosswalks, install additional striping to increase the visibility of the crosswalks. Municipality will refresh the pavement striping as needed. Install signage to formalize short-term parking and queuing during the student drop-off period along the site frontage. The municipality will review and update the parking signage along the roadways as needed. And lastly, south of the site, a little bit off the page here, there's poor sight distance at the horizontal curve in the road. What was formerly a cul-de-sac is now a continued roadway where Magnolia Lane curves. The municipality will investigate and consult with the Traffic Safety Committee and Infrastructure and Operations Committee on potential solutions at this location. And it notes that curve ahead signs with advisory speed plaques have been installed by the Department of Public Works. So all of those are summarized in Deanna's memo, and for the components that would be the school's responsibility, absolutely no issue complying with those. In terms of parking, considering the existing spaces and the 21 additional proposed, the total parking supply in the proposed condition is 85 spaces. The peak parking demand we observed was 58 vehicles again midday, and with 12 additional staff anticipated as the population grows out, that would be a projected future demand of 70, which falls well within that 85 proposed parking supply. Said another way, we expect the parking demand to increase by roughly 12 vehicles, where 21 additional spaces are proposed. So relative to existing conditions, the parking supply is improving relative to the staff count. In terms of bicycle parking, again, very good utilization of bicycle travel by students and likely some staff that we want to continue to encourage. Again, that minimizes vehicular traffic necessary. So we would again agree to the similar conditions to make sure there's an appropriate number and design of bicycle parking spaces provided on the final plan. And then again, there were comments related to the report and design for this school in the traffic review letter received from the board's consultant. Again, we provided some additional information. I've agreed to some of those recommendations. No issue, complying and satisfying that letter as well. And again, that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions for Ms. Kinderdine or Mr. Downey? Or anyone? Mr. Cohen?
Yeah, I think that there was something in one of our staff memos about concerns that signage alone wouldn't be adequate to stop left turns into the driveway, and suggesting cones, but I am having trouble imagining even how one would do that. So I guess just asking Patrick if you have any thoughts about ways to effectively prevent left turns into the parking lot.
Yeah, of course. That's something we did go over. Yeah, I think we can just stick on the site plan. I'm not sure where the screen is here, but the challenging part is that left turn restriction is just during the peak hours. So where on like a formally, left turn driveway, you might actually build a concrete pork chop shaped island. It's not really an option available to us in this case. And the temporary measures, cones or barricades, et cetera, have some, they're not the prettiest things. And they also have sort of a maintenance daily operational component to them, which is something we don't exactly want to put on the school to manage every single day. So we think between the additional messaging and additional conspicuity, visibility of the staff that help assist direct traffic, I think that would be improved from what it is today. I don't want to speak for the board's professionals, but my understanding is that was generally found to be acceptable to them as well, but I would defer to them to confirm. But yeah, we're not looking to add, like a cone daily operation to this.
Yeah. And I think this was from Victor, and I know he's on the call. Victor, do you want to comment?
Mr. Anosike, if you're there, there you go.
Yeah, I'm fine with the measures that they recommended. Initially, I didn't know that there was going to be a crossing guard at that location, and that's why I thought just having no left turn signs will not stop people from making those turns. But the school is recommending they're going to have guards there to direct non-buses from making left turns. So I'm comfortable with that.
Great, thank you.
And Madam Chair and Councilman Cohen, I was out and witnessed the traffic control operations that take place on a day at a normal school day in the beginning, and I believe Deanna's memo mentioned that we're going to get the school district to make sure that their staff who do direct traffic at those entrances are properly attired with personal protective devices. It witnessed that they were not wearing vests. However, we did not see anyone attempt to make a left turn during school drop off in the morning. So it is operating fine. Our traffic safety officer also says that don't mess with perfection, basically. The school district does a very good job of managing their traffic in and out of Little Brook School.
Great.
That's very good to hear from both of you. Thanks. Other questions or comments from board or staff? Okay, seeing none, I know there are members of the public who have an interest in addressing the board right now. There are 5 people with hands raised. Judy Coutin, Ian Davies, Joanne Marshall, and we'll start with those 3, and then there are 2 more after that, BP Prince at Verizon and Andrea Loba. Right now, there are 15 people overall in the attendees area. So just to recap, Mr. Muller will swear each of you in, ask you to state your first name and spell your last name, and ask if you're willing to share what street you live on. And with that, I will hand things over to Mr. Muller. And Mr. Muller, you're swearing in Judy Coutin, and if I am mispronouncing her name, she will tell us.
Can we take down the plan? For
Yeah,
this
please do take down the plan because we want to be able to see. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Coutin, if you could raise your right hand.
Yes,
Can
I'm
you
raising my
activate
hand.
your camera, please?
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having some connection issues, but I am raising my hand.
Okay, you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, so sworn. Could you, again, state your full name, spell your last name, and if it pleases you, what street you live on.
Sure, thank you. Judy Coutin, Kutin, 16 Magnolia Lane, across the street from the school.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the moments. I want to echo what Nat was saying about the bioretention site. I'm actually very concerned about safety for kids. Even with a 4-foot fence, I'm worried about even, 6 inches of water, a child can drown. So I want to state my concern about that large bioretention pond. That's one point. The second point you mentioned was that the stormwater management for the new parking area was going to be connected to the current, where the current water was going. Could you please explain exactly where that water is going? And the third, I want to make sure that you've taken into consideration the fact that the Harry's Brook tributary runs underneath the Little Brook property, near that blacktop and around the edge of the property. And that often floods, and especially that front blacktop area that we were talking about. It's also known as the kindergarten playground, which is directly across the street from my house, often floods. And I'm wondering what's going to be done to help with that stormwater situation. Thank you.
The front, so as far as the front, I'm assuming that, do you mind if I share my screen?
That's
quickly?
fine, yes.
Okay. So I have the Little Brook site up on the screen.
We're not seeing it yet.
There it
Okay.
is.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm assuming that Ms. Coutin is speaking about this play area in the corner of the lot. I believe that's where the kindergarten play area is. And there is a plan in place. I believe you guys have already seen this. It's already been designed to reconstruct that playground area and put in some drainage improvements around it, and put in some stormwater management systems in that corner to address that. That's a separate project from what we're currently speaking about. So as far as the outfall for this bioretention basin, there is an existing storm sewer outfall in this location, which you can better see. Excuse me. Probably on this plan. So it's a little convoluted, but if you can see, there's a 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe that drains into that tributary, into the wetlands that are located along the northern property line of Little Brook. There's a small riprap apron with an outfall there. And our intention is to connect to that same system. So we are mitigating the peak rate of runoff to that point so that we are reducing it as per the New Jersey stormwater management regulations. and we're just going to continue to drain through that same outfall. The idea is to limit disturbance within the wetlands transition area, limit the demolition of trees in that area, so we don't have to put in an additional outfall. So yes, we are aware of the tributary back there. We are respecting the wetlands associated with that tributary, and we're respecting the transition area associated with those wetlands.
And Beth, reducing the amount of flow, actually.
Yes, we're reducing
not
the peak rate of
increasing
runoff.
and not the same. It's going to be it's going to be less to comply
Correct.
with the very strict stormwater regs in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Is the bioretention basin connected through an under drain to that outfall or to that same drainage area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
Yes,
so the
there's
rainwater from the runoff from the, or at least part of the parking lot is going into the rain garden, which when it doesn't just immediately absorb the water, you know, through with plant roots or through infiltration, there's an under drain to take the overflow as they.
Correct. Yeah, there should not be any water being held for a long period of time in this detention basin. There's very little infiltration in the soils, but we are proposing an under drain below the filter media of the bioretention basin, so the water should evacuate.
Yeah. Mr. O'Donnell? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Well, I see your hand up, Owen, but there are still a couple of things that Ms. Cooten raised that we haven't gotten to yet. But what was your question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the kindergarten area, the kindergarten playground. Do I understand correctly that there's no plan at this point to deal with the runoff there? It's not part of this project?
It's a separate project, sir. It was designed separately as a part of another group of projects in the district. We expect that work to take place next summer.
Okay, thank you.
We've been waiting for regulatory approvals, really. That's really what
Mhm.
we have to deal with the DRCC. It's not easy. So anyway, next summer, we expect that work to take place.
All right, thank you.
So Ms. Cooten was concerned about the size of the bioretention basin. Can you just speak to what governs that sizing?
The size is based on the amount of runoff running to it. So we're required to treat all of the runoff from any new or reconstructed pavement on the site. So all of that water has to get directed into the bioretention basin. And then essentially the size is based on the volume of runoff generated by a future 100-year storm event. So that the NJDEP doesn't require us to deal with current conditions. They have changed the rules so that we actually have to design for an inflated future storm event. So the basin, in all honesty, I doubt it will ever get entirely full because it's designed for a future storm event that may never happen. But because of recent flooding in New Jersey, they changed the rules and we have to design for a potential storm event that could happen 20 years from now.
Yeah,
so that's what's governing the size. It's we have to design, it's essentially like a bathtub. You have to design for the volume of water going into it and then release it at a very slow rate so that it doesn't impact the downstream flooding condition.
Except it's not designed like a bathtub because a bathtub is not a sponge. It's designed like
well,
you know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be
the above ground part is designed like a
very
bathtub.
differently.
Yes.
And how deep is the basin?
I believe this one is about 4 feet deep. Hold on one second and I will. Yes, so the top of the berm is at elevation 102. The bottom is at 99. So it's 3 feet deep.
Okay. All right, thank you. We did have other people whose hands were raised, Joanne Marshall, or maybe you've already brought someone over. Is that?
Mr. Davies would be next.
Mr. Davies, Ian Davies. Can you activate your camera, sir?
I can. It's not very pretty. I'm in Ireland right now, so it's currently 2:25 a.m. in the morning. So I'm trying to. Yes. So public meetings should be public, but it's 2:25 in the morning. So I'm in Ireland. I live on Broad River Drive, so I have at least 4 concerns, but I'll try and be
Mr. Davies,
succinct.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I know it's
You could raise your right hand.
super late, but you need to be sworn in. So, Mr. Mueller.
You can raise. Do you swear? If you raise your right hand.
I can raise my right hand. Yeah.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do. And Davies, Davies, Broad River Drive.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
So I have at least 4 concerns. I'll try and be succinct on all 4 of the concerns because I think other residents in the area may bring them up. The first one I think is around the stormwater management. It's a little bit incongruent that we have a nature trail at the back end of that parking lot that we teach children about nature and the wastewater wetland management, and then we build in a pond to basically control wetland or water management in the area because we can't control the water because we're building more impervious coverage. So I think it's really incongruous that we have a Lilbrook school with a nature trail that will put a water management pond right next to the nature trail that actually has been there to actually teach kids about wastewater management and natural water wastewater management. So I think that's the first part. I don't think the current conditions there, I think you guys is a very pejorative term, but I think you need to walk the area and see what happens during flooding in that area. It currently floods, and it floods quite consistently whenever we have water. It's not a 100-year storm. It's not a 20-year storm. We can have this flooding probably every couple of months in a heavy rainwater storm in New Jersey. And so I'm a little bit concerned about the wastewater management and actually having to build a pond with a retention basin and then the fencing that's been mentioned around it when we actually have instructional students walking past on a wet water management area that we said is naturally managed for wet water. So just take that under advisement, I think, that part. The other part is the parking part. The other point I would like to raise is around parking. We currently deal with excessive parking in the neighborhood because the parking is insufficient. We routinely have people, 2 or 3 cars parked outside our house from the current parking. So I don't feel the current assessment that there will be adequate parking at peak time with the expansion to cope with the additional parking requirements because we currently don't meet it. And we're probably way below where we need to be right now. In the neighborhoods on Magnolia and on Broad River Drive, there are staff already parking on those streets daily. And so I don't think the assessment actually lines up with where we need to be. So I think that assessment for parking is inadequate and doesn't represent the state of the fact on the ground right now or where we need to be in the future. Personally, I don't think we actually need more parking in the school. We need a better management system for why we have less people driving in the neighborhood to get to the school, whether that's staff, students, or anyone else. I think we need to actually address the amount of traffic in the neighborhood, and we don't need to be providing more parking. We need to find a better way of getting staff, students, anyone else going to the school into that neighborhood. So that part is around the parking place. But I think the current plan doesn't represent the state of the ground right now because we have certainly excessive parking on Broad River. We have excessive parking on Magnolia, and those aren't students. Those are staff cars right now. So I don't think the new plan will address that. And then I have 2 other plans that I wanted to come up with. We currently,
Mr. Davies, you're past your time. Did you get to your 4th
Yeah, I have three
item?
and four. I have 3 and 4. One is around noise, that we currently deal with noise from the school, and I want to make sure that we deal with an adequate noise mitigation plan for any other HVAC units on the school, because we're certainly in excess of the current residential requirements in the area, and I think we're getting much more to an industrial zone. And the third one is lighting, and I think this comes to the parking. We need to make sure if there's additional parking, that the parking is lit to support school activities during the day and is not lit to support school activities during the evening or weekends, so that
Okay.
we don't have excessive. So noise pollution was the first one, and then light pollution is the second one, that we need a plan to mitigate that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for staying up so late and letting us know what you think and how you feel. So Ms. Kenderdine and Mr. Downey, would you like to address the points that Mr. Davies made?
Well, I can speak to the stormwater management bioretention basin. It's required by law for me to put in green infrastructure to mitigate the peak rate of runoff stormwater from a project site. So while I understand that there's a nature trail right next to it, I'm required by law to put in something to mitigate the stormwater coming off of the new pavement that we're putting in. I believe as far as lighting is concerned, I believe we already addressed that. We're just planning on putting in the minimum amount of lighting required for the parking lot. And as far as noise, I'm afraid I'm not well versed enough to address that. I think maybe George might be able to address what noise mitigation is being proposed as part of the new building additions. And I will let Patrick address the question on parking.
Okay, great. Mr. Duthie?
Thinking off the top of my head, I believe there's only one new unit being provided. It's a smaller package unit. It's above the music room, which is on the back of the building. Those units we specify are typically equipped with noise reduction packages, but it is mounted on the roof. It is a smaller unit. It's not a large unit for the single music room edition. There obviously will be, some noise generated by that unit. But it is on the back.
And you can provide that the decibel numbers to staff so that we make sure that collectively we're not exceeding state or municipal noise ordinance.
Sure. Oh yeah, we can have the engineers provide noise data, fan curves and things for that unit. Sure. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Mr. Downey, as to the insufficiency of parking, can you speak to that again?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of any, I guess we'll call it overflow parking that might be rippling to the adjacent roadways right now, I think as part of this project that would be reduced. As I mentioned before, with the additional growth, up to 12 additional staff are anticipated, whereas over 20 additional spaces are being added. So even if every single one of the new staff brought their own vehicle, there's still a surplus of parking being added on site that doesn't exist today. So to the extent that there is overflow, that should be reduced because we have more capacity to pull that activity off of the streets and onto the site compared to existing condition.
And Patrick, I think it's safe to say a lot of the traffic that's generated is due to pickup and drop off, but especially pickup with the queuing of the cars as they wait for the children to come out, right?
Certainly, yeah. If you're driving by and you see, a lot of cars in the area during those peak times, by and large, those are associated with the parent activity. But yeah, the static parking of vehicles, on an all-day, daily basis, that should be reduced as part of the application.
Yeah, we should have a reduction. Yeah.
And I just want to say, although it's not my job to make a case, on behalf of the application at this point, especially, bioretention basins are nature-based stormwater management. That is a huge change that the state required with rule changes a few years ago and has beefed up since then to raise the standard further. And as Ms. Kenderdine said, look forward at rain event intensity anticipated as a result of climate change, which is a big, big deal. And so even though there's a nature trail nearby, this facility is also a valuable teaching tool for how you manage stormwater in a way where infiltration happens, plants take up a giant amount of water. And if you really have just a monster event, then you've got overflow that goes, into a catchment area. Anyway, it's a whole lot better situation than it used to be. It is nature-based, and that's all I have to say about that. So we have up next Joanne Marshall, and then Ian Davies.
No, Ian's already spoken.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's only 9:36 here. It's 2:36 there. Ms. Marshall, welcome. Mr. Muller, Ms. Marshall has her hand up already.
You swear
Joanne Marshall,
you swear
JOANNE
or affirm that you swear
MARSHALL,
or affirm
Broad
that the
Ripple
testi-
Drive.
No.
Ms. Marshall, Mr. Muller needs to,
You swear or
he
affirm
says
that
before
the
you
testimony
say what
about
you
to
say.
give is the truth.
Yes, I swear.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's right. If you can give your name again and the street.
Joanne Marshall, Broad Ripple Drive. Okay, so I'm not sure if many of you people have actually gone and walked this neighborhood and this area. I'm quite offended by some of the things you have said. I live on Broad Ripple Drive. The end of my yard is pretty much going to be 100 feet from where the end of that parking lot is going to be. I do not appreciate the way the lady dismissed that there is buffering from light and sound, and that situation is resolved. Let's see. About 5 years ago, the Littlebrook School implemented a new air conditioner on the roof. I am now finally trying to get some resolve with that. My life has been seriously affected by the noise of that air conditioner that has been on at all hours of the day, night, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Yes, there are trees there for light mitigation. There are trees there for sound. As any sound engineer knows, like the sound engineer that visited my garden and said it sounded like a small Cessna coming from the school. So no, I am not completely satisfied about the fact that you really don't know about the sound is what you said, and you really should know about the sound and how it's going to impact all the people on Broad Ripple Drive. So that's the sound. The light. The light, if you had looked at those trees, most of those trees are deciduous trees. Do you know what deciduous means? It means that in the winter, all the leaves fall off. Currently, when I look into my yard, I see one of the lights shining on the current parking lot. It is not a downward facing light, as is required by dark night requirements. It is shining towards my back room, where next year, when I build my new house, it will be shining directly into my bedroom. I would appreciate if these plans are looked at more carefully. You completely missed the point Mr. Davies was making about the retention bay. Retention bays are environmentally good, as you explained just now. However, we would not need that retention bay if we weren't adding more parking spaces. Why are we adding more parking spaces? Because people drive their kids to school. Why aren't we encouraging a more walkable Princeton? Why aren't we providing more transportation so that people all in Princeton can be transported to their schools without having to drive and have their cars on Magnolia Lane, on Broad Ripple Drive, and other lanes with the engines running? You talk about environmental protection. You talk about adding electric chargers in the parking lot. What about not having so many cars in the parking lot? What about not having people sitting on the road with their engines revving and their fumes coming out? Okay, the water issue is an issue. I'm more concerned about the sound and the light. You're throwing your hands in the air and saying, if we need more light, we're going to talk to PSE&G. What rights and power do I have over PSE&G when they come in and put lights on that playground and suddenly my backyard? I bought this house in 1998. It's a split level. There's nothing sexy about it. Do you know why I bought it? Because I came here, and right now, if I stand out in my backyard or on my front lawn, it is quiet. Well, that's if the air conditioner on the school isn't on. It is quiet. The sky is dark. I can sometimes see stars. If there are lights shining in my backyard, if there is an increased noise from an air conditioner,
okay,
I will be protesting every night. This is unacceptable. You need to go and you need to walk the site, not sit in your little offices and draw little drawings.
Ms. Marshall, we don't need to be.
And I find it very
if you could just lower the temperature, and I think we've heard what you have to say.
Yeah, because my mental health has been affected.
I understand. I understand
years.
you are really pissed. I totally get it. I really do get it, and I want to ask.
I don't like it when people say there are trees and that's going to cover up the sound. And if that person had come and looked at the trees, they would see that the leaves fall off.
We're gonna stop now and address the points that you've made.
And lastly, you do not have meetings at 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday midweek when people have to go to work.
We have a hard stop at 11 o'clock. That is when we stop.
I want to go to bed. I don't want to be out at this time of night.
I'd like for that to happen too. Okay, so I want to address Ms. Marshall's questions. Our next speakers will be BP Prince at Verizon and then Andrea Lobo. So Ms. Marshall talked about light intrusion and noise and things that are done to discourage driving and encourage walking and biking. I know that's an important thing to the school. It's not specific to this application, but I do want to hear what the schools have to say about, and what our own professionals have to say about making sure that the lights are dark sky compliant and do not bleed onto other properties, and in particular those that are of such nuisance to Ms. Marshall are dealt with. And I'd also like to hear some testimony about the noise on the site now and how much they can expect to add.
I can speak to the lighting in that we can certainly perform some photometric calculations to see what kind of spillage is being caused by the existing lighting. We can certainly address that, hopefully with house shields or some other means of obviously protecting from light spillage. I'm sure the school district is open to working with the PSENG or with Miss Marshall to make sure that she's not being bothered by the lights.
Yeah, the light is.
The point I was making earlier is that we're not proposing any new site lighting for this parking area. The intent is to provide the minimum amount of lighting required for safety reasons for the parking lot. So we can certainly take a look at the lighting and make sure that it does not impede neighbors.
Well, yes, but that light is owned by PSE&G. Anything gets done to it has to be done by PSE&G. We can't.
Correct.
We can measure it, but we can't control.
Yes.
We can reach out to PSE&G. We can certainly ask them to go and put shielding on that light.
Exactly.
But it's up to PSE&G. I mean, ultimately, right? As far as the noise goes, as I testified earlier, we are going to get sound data for that unit that goes on the music room. We will confirm the noise levels that are generated by that unit, with the noise curves. I don't know about the other noise issue. I wasn't involved in that. We can certainly talk to the school district about investigating that, but that's not something we were.
Yeah, because it may very well be that your new equipment is not as noisy as what exists. So even if it, adds to the that doesn't mean that it that it's okay the way it is. And I know that can't be solving every problem right here, but if it is distressing enough on a day-to-day basis when the air conditioner is running to make somebody that mad, then it really needs to be something that you talk to her about. And it may be that the light that is intruding is not the PSE&G light, but some other light that's mounted on the building. It's just important to know exactly what the problem is and do your best to solve it.
Sure. Great. Certainly willing to do that. From our perspective as the architect, we're not the, the owners, but yeah, we will assist the school district, with the process as best as we can. I didn't really only control the work that we're doing now on the new work. And we will use shielded building lights for security purposes. And we'll try to assist with existing conditions that are there now.
Thank you.
As we can help, if we can assist. Okay.
Mr. LaSusa, maybe you can speak to the
my turn?
work that's happening to encourage more walking and biking and less driving.
I can try. I before that will say that Ms. Marshall had reached out to the school district earlier this week, and our director of maintenance and facilities has been trying to coordinate a meeting with her and also take a look at the existing exhaust fans and HVAC units that are at the school to try to reduce the noise and determine what might be causing excessive noise. So we, of course, are willing to work with George or others or neighbors to try to reduce the impact that we're having in the neighborhood.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, of course, the district, again, not to beat a dead horse, but Sustainable Princeton is a great partner of ours. And we try to encourage biking and walking and have all kinds of events to do that and educational programs to promote that. But of course, as you know, we can't control how parents bring their children to school. So we do the best we can. And I think that some of the spillover issues with traffic have to do with events. We have a PTO meeting that I'll be at Littlebrook tomorrow morning, and I know that I'm not going to be parking in the parking lot because anytime there's an event with additional parents and staff who might be attending beyond the typical population there, the spillover is in the street. So if anything, this project will help with the spillover, but it won't eliminate it all on days when we have events at the school.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Cohen?
Is it my turn?
No, we need to just finish this little conversation and then it'll be your turn. I'm sorry to make you wait.
It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I wanted to just make the point that the fact that the existing fixture is a PSE&G fixture is not divinely determined. I assume that's a PSE&G fixture because it's a less expensive way for the school to provide the needed site lighting. But if we cannot compel PSE&G to provide a dark sky compliant and properly shielded fixture, the schools may have to provide privately owned fixtures at their own expense. This is squarely in the criteria of the conditional use, the nuisance factor. And I think that we really need to make clear to the schools that a solution needs to be found if there's light trespass, as Ms. Marshall was asserting. When you investigate, you have to fix that. And if PSE&G won't fix it for you, you have to fix it some other way.
Thank you. Ms. Prince, or maybe that is not your name. I do not know.
It is.
Okay, Mr. Mueller will swear you in. Jerry, can you see BP Prince?
Let me see.
On your screen? Maybe you can say something.
Yeah.
Prince.
Hi.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. If you raise your right hand.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
So sworn or affirm, please state your full name, spell your last name, and if you may, give your address, give
Okay.
your street.
Barbara Prince, Prince. My address is 85 Magnolia Lane. I'm on the corner of Broad Ripple and Magnolia. So I have both sides. So
And then-
one, to
And
address
your first name is Barbara?
Barbara,
Barbara.
Barbara.
Thank you.
Prince, like royalty, spaghetti, and tennis rackets.
Got it.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what I get. Okay.
Right
I'm done?
ahead.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'm right on the corner. One, to address what David Cohen was just saying, one of the annoying lights is a school light. It's mounted on the back of the gym. It's bright orange, and it does not protect from the sky. I mean, it's like it blasts. I don't know what the PSG&G light is, but that's the other thing. The other thing is, I would like to Miss Kenderdine, I would like the retention, well, the way you have the retention pool laid out parallel to the parking lot means that you have eliminated the sight line from the building, from the parking lot to the playing field, which you've reduced in size. And I'm wondering if, in fact, the retention could be moved horizontally instead of vertically, or east-west versus north-south as you currently have it. So that's question number one. Just because it would allow better site visit, and I don't know, Mr. LaSousa or Dr. LaSousa, I'm sure you would know, there used to be an after-school program at Littlebrook. The Y had one of their after-school programs, and they use that field extensively, and they have less staffing, and therefore reducing that sight line between the where you're going to there used to be the map where the basketball thing is. You're keeping that tarmac. So between that space, if you have the retention basin the way you have it, it's going to reduce your visibility. The second thing is that I want to also point out to you that the school, the way you have it, is oriented east-west. So if you plant trees between the retention basin and the parking lot, it will not shade the cars, after about 10:30 in the morning. So if you wanted to do a productive trees in the parking lot to reduce the heat, if you could make a little island of trees between the existing parking lot and where you're going to extend the parking lot, because that way, at least some of the trees would have the benefit from noon to 4 o'clock of getting shade. But the way you're presenting it now, you're only going to accomplish very early in the morning shade. Only because I know, because I'm a big gardener and I'm oriented the same way the school is, and so I know this. So you might want to look at that. The school district might want to look at that. And so those are my points. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's certainly see your point about the location of those trees. I guess the schools, you can look at the question of the bright orange light on the back of the gym. That's an important thing to resolve. Thanks, Mr. LaSousa. Ms. Kenderdine, can you speak to the alignment and location for the basin?
We can certainly take a look at reorienting the basin if it makes sense for the school district. I have no problem taking a look at that, seeing if it's feasible and it's something that will make the athletic fields more usable and safer for the kids.
Okay.
It's more about the volume than about the orientation of it. So we can certainly take a look at that and see if we can make it work.
You know, I don't want to suggest something that would make you redo the whole site design, but if you added bioretention in the middle of the parking lot, to take the runoff from the parking lot into the middle, and have a bank of trees there. And then so that you basically have two bioretention, one in the parking lot, accepting some of that runoff, and one to the right of the parking lot. Then they could both be smaller and you could get shade trees down the middle of the parking lot. Just a thought. And I know, I know that's a big difference, and I don't know how much engineering has already gone into the plan, but that's another way. Smaller, more distributed basins can sometimes work better than one big one anyway.
I could take a look at it, but I don't think anything that would be the size of an island would put a big dent in the size of the bioretention basin that we have designed. So it's
well, I'm
also
talking about an
would,
island that would be maybe 5 or 6 feet wide instead of the typical
right.
2 feet or something, but big enough to serve both as an island, as a place for trees, and as a bioretention basin. Again, I'm not, there's pictures of that kind of thing on all the green infrastructure websites. If you look at parking lot, the subset and everything, it's done. I understand that it's not what you planned, and I'm not trying to, throw sand in the gears. I just think that if you are willing to entertain that big of a change, that it could work just as well or better from a stormwater management perspective.
We'll take it under advisement.
Something to look at with the engineering staff in the municipal building, Mr. Purcell and his colleagues. Okay. Let's, I know Ms. Lobo, Andrea Lobo, we don't have anybody before Ms. Lobo, do we? Am I right about?
No, she was next.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Ian. So, Ms. Lobo, Jerry Muller will swear you in. You need to raise your right hand.
You swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
So sworn or affirm, please state your full name, spell your last name, and if you wish, give your street.
Andrea Lobo, Lobo. I live on Magnolia Lane.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
I have two principal comments. In the documents that are available online, there is a document labeled Layout 2 that describes how 6 classrooms will be added to the back of the school, near where there is now like a hard surface, like a paved surface, and I imagine encroaching into what is currently the playing field. So these are 6 classrooms, and I also want to refer to the traffic report that was issued by Dynamic Traffic on August 5th, 2025. In paragraph 2 of this document, it said, quote, "The expansion is anticipated to accommodate up to 10 to 12 additional staff members and 15 additional students." So am I to understand that the plan is to build, according to this layout number 2, 6 classrooms to accommodate 15 students? Furthermore, in the traffic report, in order to accommodate these 15 students, on page 3, table 1, the anticipation is that the net increase will be, let's say in the morning, 5 trips in, so six trips in and 5 trips out. That means that the additional traffic anticipated by this report for 6 classrooms worth of students is 5 parents dropping kids and leaving the school. That seems to me very unintuitive. And I am a professor of computer science, definitely not a traffic expert, but I would like somebody to put some intuitive common sense into this, please, because it doesn't make sense to me. That's my first issue. I appreciate the observation of the traffic expert that the turn from Littlebrook to Magnolia is very dangerous. No, those are not his words, those are mine. And as we have more than 100 students coming into these 6 classrooms, the line of parents lining up is going to go around the bend of Magnolia. They're not only going to sit there with their cars on, with their engines on, because it's cold in the winter. And so there has to be a plan. And anytime that there's an activity, like the one that is going to be tomorrow that Dr. LaSousa is pointing out, where there are many people, many parents who are going to attend a PTO, a spring picnic.
Professor Lobo, we're a minute past your allotted time, and I want to make sure that we have time to answer these questions about traffic and about the capacity issue that you
Yes. So
raised.
notice that they're very specific comments that I'm bringing up, right? And the last comment is, I think Barbara Prince's comment about possibly relocating the retention pond is very appropriate. There is a big section of trees inside the loop where the buses come. And so there might be an opportunity to put some retention area in there. Also,
Ms. Lobo, I need to.
Yeah, sorry. 30 seconds. They're taking so much of the field that is going to change the character of many of the activities that our kids at Littlebrook have traditionally done that will be impossible because there will be no place to do them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, and sorry to cut you off that way. I guess, Mr. LaSousa, do you want to speak to the need for the 6 classrooms? Now, I want to be clear that what the schools are planning to do in terms of numbers of classrooms added and capacity and all has been approved by the voters. It is not what we're here to make decisions about tonight, but if you could just very quickly talk about the what's happening in those 6 classrooms and the need for them, and then let's talk about the traffic question that she raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I can say definitively that 6 classrooms will not be built for 15 students. 15 students perhaps might go into 1 classroom on the low side, but as you mentioned, the planning process for the referendum was comprehensive and thorough. There was a tremendous amount of due diligence done by the Board of Education involving demographers and others. I wasn't here for all of that, so I don't want to be presumptuous or comment on the exact numbers of classrooms and how we arrived at those. But I can say that there's pressure across the district in all of the elementary settings. And there is a lot of transportation and busing happening now because there are imbalances in some of our elementary schools at certain grade levels. So the addition of classrooms, both at Community Park and at Littlebrook, will help the district overall. And overall, we're hopeful that we will actually reduce the amount of traffic that's going back and forth between buildings, because there are pressures right now that can't be accommodated in all of the schools. So I guess I would just say there's a tremendous amount available on our website about all of the planning and all of the thought that went into the referendum to begin with back in January. And certainly we wouldn't accommodate only 15 students in 6 classrooms at Littlebrook.
Yeah, thank you for that. Mr. Downey, do you want to speak to the traffic circulation and congestion questions?
Sure. So as it relates to the traffic projections, my understanding at the onset of this was, there might be some other reallocation of students within the classrooms, that the net increase was anticipated to be 15, and that's where those numbers come from. In terms of the second part of the question regarding it not necessarily being a 1-to-1 ratio of students to trips, that's really because the trips we're speaking about are those that occur, number one, by vehicle, not including, walkers or mode sharing by riders of the bus, but also because it's only just within the single peak hour of the adjacent roadways. So while there might be additional trips in the morning period, overall we look at an individual peak hour and the trips that occur within that. So that's partially why it's not 1-to-1. In terms of queuing on the street, it's essentially what occurs today. Certainly during event traffic items, those are peak days, not representative of typical conditions. But that's the reality of having the school there today and in the future, is that they need to hold events, parent-teacher conferences, et cetera. That wouldn't really be changing as part of this application that exists now.
Right. Any other comments from any of your witnesses, Mr. Croker or Mr. LaSousa? Anything else? Okay.
I don't believe so. I just add my understanding. I think part of the reason to add the classrooms was for smaller class sizes as well, and to different allocations of students. It wasn't for this big influx of. I heard like 100 thrown around, and just wanted to mention that. But no, I don't. Not at this time. I don't believe, unless the board has any other questions.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Lesko.
Mr. Croker, did I hear before from one of the professionals that you're adding a music room, which I know has been a hot topic here at Littlebrook? I know maybe some of these specialized rooms were removed, and now will some of these 6 classrooms be used for those specialized subjects?
I think I heard Mr. Duthie mention that. I'm not sure if that's a new room or existing, but would ask if he could clarify.
You're asking about the music room?
Yeah, I believe that was
behind the cafeteria. That's a new addition.
Okay.
Correct. That's the 1,800 square foot addition. That's a music room and a corridor and a connecting corridor.
Mm-hmm. So some of these rooms are not a new class of students. It's students in another classroom are going to this music room instead of having the music teacher come to them, and different kind of specialized things like that.
One of the problems at Littlebrook is utilization, and to relieve the pressure of the utilization issues at Littlebrook, full-size classrooms are needed where smaller spaces are being used now for larger groups of kids. So it's to equalize the space, the utilization of the space, in addition to moving the, having to stop busing the kids and things like that, and moving things around. So it's an idea of just relieving pressures that exist already, on top of the fact that there is growth coming. And as Mr. LaSousa said earlier, this information is available on the district's website. It was a very defined and definite process, and a lot of iterations, and a lot of data is out there about this and how we got here today. Yeah.
Thank you. Including the long-range facilities plan that this board saw last year as well.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So there are no other hands raised in the attendees room. There are 14 people there now, so I'll close the public comment portion of this application. Invite any final comments from board members, comments or questions. Mr. O'Donnell.
Okay. One thing that we really haven't resolved, and I don't know if we will at this meeting, is the need for access to the bioretention center versus safety. You know, I don't know what the answer to this is. You know, will there be, you know, if a ball goes over the fence, the 4-foot fence, and lands in the bioretention center, you know, should the child be able to go in and fetch it out, or should it just have to stay there? It's a question I'm just kind of throwing out there to see, and the need, and also the need for access to it for education purposes. You know, I don't exactly know what the question is.
And for maintenance. I mean, no, there does
well,
need to
obviously
be-
for maintenance,
there
yes.
definitely needs to be an access point. And you may
There
not
will
want
be a-
kids going in there for their soccer balls, but I guarantee you they will.
There will be an access gate. So if a ball flies into the bioretention basin area, it can be retrieved. And obviously the gates will be wide enough to get maintenance equipment into the bioretention basin, so it can be maintained.
I'll just add too, just from a district perspective, I mean, part of our responsibility is supervising children appropriately. And we have driveways and streets. Johnson Park is across the street from a brook or a stream or river or whatever body of water is the proper one to use. It floods on occasion. So at least during the school day, it's our responsibility to have adults present who are supervising children appropriately. That would apply to a bioretention basin. And no, students should not be hopping the fence or unlocking the gate to go get a ball. They should be supervised by an adult and get assistance from an adult who can do that for them. And that's something that we will have to work on, of course, anywhere we put these.
Yeah.
Mr. D'Souza, will the gate be locked then?
Beth, what is the typical installation that you do?
Okay.
Yes, it'll probably be a double swing gate, a 10 or 12 foot wide opening so they can get mowing equipment in there, and it will be locked. So school personnel will have the keys, but it'll be secured at all times.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Other questions from board members? Should we go over the what would be in a resolution and conditions? Have we addressed everything that was in Ms. Stockton's memo? Jim, is there anything, Mr. Purcell, that you'd like to flag that?
Mr. Downey covered each of the ones of the comments that were in that memo.
Great, good.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know what the wording is, but we put reference in the resolution to reviewing and resolving the problem of light intrusion. And you know, in some way a study or attempt to address noise complaints as well. What else? And the specific additional comments in the memo.
Louise, while you're looking for that, I just want to check with Jerry. You know, I would like to see a condition relating to the light spill and the noise that would require the school to address pre-existing conditions and not just the noise of the new mechanical equipment and new lighting. But I don't know if that's, I mean, if that's kosher. So I want to get some legal advice to see if we can do that.
I think the board can.
Okay.
And I have it noted as conditions. The photometrics with respect to the lighting, make sure there's no light spillage, and that would be presented to the staff. And if there is, and PSE&G is not willing to take the appropriate steps to deal with it, that the schools has to do it themselves, as you had suggested.
Right, right.
And with respect to the noise, I just have that they'll get noise out of the staff with respect to the air conditioner over the music room, and we'll try to reduce the noise level from the HVACs, including that air conditioner. I don't know what else there is. I don't know. I don't know.
We were hearing that there were existing air conditioners at other locations that were quite noisy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they should be able to identify that if they do in fact meet on site with Ms. Marshall, as they are attempting to do.
And in terms of trying to reduce the noise from the HVACs and work with staff in terms of doing so.
Yeah.
And I believe Mr. Duthie mentioned that the new HVAC equipment either has a noise reduction package included within it, or they're going to get something to go around it.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly.
Is that correct, Mr. Duthie?
No, I didn't say put anything wrong. I think I did say I would talk to the engineer about the inclusion of a noise reduction package on that rooftop unit for the music room. Yeah.
I think the condition the board's talking about, though, is it would not only be the air conditioner over the music room, but any of the other air conditioners also, and that you'll try to reduce the noise from those HVAC.
Well, that's not the subject of, I mean, that's something that I'm not even prepared to discuss that. That's not part of the work that we're submitting here tonight.
Is that beyond the scope of these applications?
It's really beyond the scope of our.
I mean, we're agreeing to review them. We're happy to to do that.
Not as a condition, but as
beyond the scope of these applications.
As in the spirit of cooperation, but it's beyond, the
I
scope.
mean, one of the factors in terms of granting the conditional use is elimination, or is to what extent there are nuisance factors there. So I think the board can appropriately look at all of this and make some conditions to assure that, in fact, there will not be these kind of nuisance factors.
That's correct for our.
The jurisdiction is about the new additions.
The new work, yes, that's correct.
Not just the new, I would say the existing facility as well.
But they're existing sites already. It's not part of the applications that we're here for.
I guess the point for me would be, if a new air conditioning, a new mechanical unit went up 5 years ago without any kind of review by the municipality whatsoever, because it was a replacement of an existing unit, and it was done in such a way that created a nuisance that essentially put the existing conditional use out of compliance with its conditional approval, that mitigating that, since we've learned about it as part of this application, would be an appropriate exercise of the board's jurisdiction.
Well, I don't know if that occurred. I mean, it's hypothetical, but to the extent, I mean, we want to be good neighbors, and I think you've heard from our professionals and from from the administration that we're trying to do that. We're willing to look at these issues. I'm saying in terms of the technical scope of the applications, these are 3 sites that are already pre-existing. They already have school facilities on them. They're already being used for educational uses. We're here because we're in connection with the referendum planning additions, expansions, and that's the scope of the conditional use approval.
Well, we understand all of that, and Mr. Mueller has explained why he thinks that, why he has a different legal, draws a different legal conclusion based on his reading and experience. So, and I agree with what Mr. Cohen said. I think we carefully word a condition that expects the schools to address this problem under the nuisance in the nuisance bucket of our jurisdiction, and hope that you can resolve this with the neighbor. Mr. Lesko?
Yeah, so thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up and to clarify, are you suggesting if we had a condition similar to the one in the last case regarding a study of the decibels emanating from the HVAC equipment, you would only calculate from the new ones rather than
No,
the whole site?
No.
no, the whole site.
I know that's what we're saying, but based on what I just heard from Mr. Croker and Mr. Duthie, is that kind of just as a practical matter how you would, and my lights turned out, how you would do that?
No lights bill from Justin's office.
Yeah.
I mean, my recollection for the comments on the last application were concerning the new unit. I thought that was what was discussed, because I thought the question was, we were talking about the cold box and the generator and what kind of noise would be, coming off those. I thought maybe I misheard, but I thought that was the context in which we were talking about, and those would be new,
The
new
generator,
additions posed as part of these projects.
the generator is not new.
Yes, it is.
I thought it was new with the cold box, and I thought that's why we're talking about the, either the masonry or acoustic,
Oh, for the
screening
cold
or
box,
vegetative
cold box.
screening.
And for the cold box, that's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, the generator is already existing on site? I thought the generator was new also.
There is an existing generator at the middle school. It's being replaced with a larger generator and being moved to a new location. There is one.
Right.
Yes, that's
So they're both they're both true, Mr. Mueller.
they're
There
both
is
true.
one, but
Right,
it's
they're
a
both
different
true.
one.
There's one there
and
now,
it's
there's
a
a big one
smaller
going
one.
in. Right,
Yeah.
correct. Yep, both correct.
Yeah. So I want to move forward and decide on this particular resolution and its conditions. I want to repeat that we have a hard stop at 11 o'clock, and we are not going to make it through the community park school application in 30 minutes. So we're going to need to schedule another meeting or put you on an upcoming agenda as soon as we possibly can. But let's, I don't want the board to think that, we're going to be here until midnight. I don't think it's fair to any of us panelists, and I don't think that it's fair to the public. So, so let's put this resolution to bed.
And if I could ask Justin, excuse me, and Jim, are there any other conditions that we were going to impose with respect to the middle school application that we have not talked about that would be appropriate here?
Well, did we mention adding in the fence that was talked about with the gate, secure fence around the bioretention area?
Yeah, and in fact, that would be added to the first resolution also, because
yes,
indicated that in fact that they're going to do that for all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And making the parking area EV ready was agreed to.
Yeah.
And we had also discussed the additional shade trees, working with staff to get those around the parking lot, I would say. Or around or within, but it sounds more likely around.
Yeah. And do we want to add that they should at least consider the idea of having now an island between the existing parking lot and the proposed new parking lot, and then putting the trees there, where it would have much more of a heat island mitigation effect?
If I can add my opinion on that, that just exacerbates the disturbance and would push the parking lot to be larger into the area of the detention basin or bioretention basin, sorry. I think
it would mean shrinking the other one, but you're right. And so I hope I wasn't out of line by even mentioning that, but if it were much smaller, if there were two much smaller ones.
I literally sat here tonight just now trying to lay it out on the plans, and it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't fit.
work. Okay.
Doesn't fit.
Okay. All right. So
only other-
around, not within, in the context of an island or a bioretention system.
And kind of along those
Jim,
lines.
you're still on mute. Jim, you're on mute. Didn't hear the last.
I'm sorry, I do have some ideas on how to increase the landscaping, so I'm sure
Good.
the school will be happy to sit and talk about it.
Talk, Beth can get involved and sure, absolutely. Let's talk about it, work on that collaboratively, like we have been doing. That's great.
Good. Okay.
And I think similarly, with if there are any other options for bioretention within and around the parking lot, if you could work cooperatively with staff on that.
Okay.
Those are all the comments I had.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Mueller?
That's all I have.
Okay. Given the comments and conditions we've discussed, would someone like to move approval of this conditional use authorization?
I'm happy to do it.
Thank you,
Second
Mr.
it.
Cohen. Who said they would?
Bodenheimer.
Thank you, Nat. Seconded by Mr. Bodenheimer. Justin, would you call the roll, please?
Will do. Mr. Bodenheimer,
Yes.
Ms. Capizzoli,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
On mute.
Sorry, yes.
Ms. Perlmutter,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson Anderson,
Yes.
and Chair Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I am sorry that we didn't get through all three of these tonight. I know that everyone had hoped to, and it's just not feasible. So, Mr. Lesko, can you, I wouldn't expect you to know on the fly what we could
Oh, I know.
accommodate, or
We
can
actually
you?
did talk about another date. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
October
first,
16th was floated as a date. I don't know if that would still be.
yeah, first, I think we're gonna have to take jurisdiction of that case, so they don't have to renotice.
Good. Thank you
Yes.
for that.
If you could announce, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so with respect to the community park school application, proof of publication and service are proper, and the board has jurisdiction.
Yeah, thanks. And then, so we had previously discussed with the schools October 16th, having a special meeting. If that still works for the schools, then great, we'll pencil that in and we'll do everything we need to do for the special meeting. There will be no future noticing. The other option, and this would be a bit of a gamble, would be October 9th, where we have a university application. We could potentially put that on second, since the university is already noticed. You run the risk of sitting around for 3 hours and then figuring out
Yeah, let's go with
we're
this.
not going to hear it. So.
I think it'd be much better for everybody if, and more efficient if we just put it on the agenda as the only application on the 16th.
Got it. So that'll be carried to the 16th. There'll be no future noticing for that one.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone. Mr. Cohen?
I was just going to ask if the schools could help Mr. Bodenheimer get back his soccer ball. That would be another informal condition.
I actually wrote that down on my notepad.
Wait a second, I'll write that as a condition.
And here I thought you were going to move that we adjourn.
I'm going to do that now.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again, and we will see you all on the 16th.
Thank you.
See the rest of the board before that.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thanks.